And we're live.
We are live. You know, I think I've said this before, but I haven't said it with the incredible insight of the illustrious Slickets of Slickets Digital. Some insight of his. He said this yesterday and it made me mad. I think I gave him an angry emoji face react. Is Mr. Brightside's Our Generation's Don't Stop Believing?
Oh, I would imagine so, yeah.
God, I hate that. That must be how my parents felt in like early 2000s.
Although Don't Stop Believing is still, you know, I saw a video, I think it's probably everybody's seen it, but there's a guy starts singing it like at Central Park or something, and just everybody in the park just starts singing along with Don't Stop Believing. So
it's crazy that they don't say the name of the song until like 30 seconds before.
Right. But I imagine you could do the same thing with Mr. Brightside, so people would just naturally join in.
I hate it so much. I never liked that song. I love literally every other track on Hot Fuss is a fucking jam to me. And I just
it's a great album. Yeah, absolutely.
I played it with you driving to play golf one day. I remember.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, the whole album is really good.
Yeah.
Jenny was a friend of mine. I think it's the first track. I love that song. But I just never liked, you know what I didn't like is that he goes like he's gonna say, but she's touching his dick, and instead he says, but she's touching his chest. Right. And I was like, it'd have been funnier if she said dick. Like, I mean, it's actually probably one of the biggest reasons I don't like that song.
Really?
Yeah, but that's actually like clever
like
writing.
Out.
But yeah, at the time I was like,
just fucking say it, man.
Yeah, just fuck. I wonder if he ever says it that way live.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't think I've said this to people before, and they're like, "No, that's." And it's like, okay, you don't get to tell me it's a good song if you don't recognize what he did lyrically there. That's one of the better parts of that song.
I remember I had an associate working for me in Larkspur, and she had to be in her late 40s at that time, and she was a huge Killers fan. She would go to their concerts. It was like her lifestyle revolved around that band. Yeah,
never heard of the Deadhead for the Killers. That's pretty.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I mean, they're good. First two albums were good. First album more so than the second, but I still don't understand how they did the Super Bowl in Las Vegas and they didn't have the Killers on, like just as like they always have like a third band there for no reason, and that's like name the other Las Vegas band, you know?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
exactly, sir.
Exactly, sir.
Exactly, sir.
You know how people like play saxophone or play the drums to like funny or piano to like funny clips from the news?
Yeah,
I should do one for this.
So another Friday.
I should learn how to do that.
That would be cool. Right? Yeah. That would be cool.
Now I've said in the show I have to do it.
Now you have to do it.
I'm not that good yet, but
you're committed.
That's a goal.
Nice.
I still don't get how of all of the Killers songs that still last to this day, off that album especially given our time period of like theys and thems and you know interesting sexualities. I don't understand how somebody told me that you had a boyfriend that looked like a girlfriend that I knew in February of last year wasn't the one that had the staying power, you know?
Right.
Like, do you think these Gen Zers even know about that song? Because that was the one that had way more radio play.
That was.
Nobody's ever believed
play.
Yeah. That was the one. That was their.
Man, they gotta know that song, right? They gotta. I don't know.
I wouldn't count on Gen
You know what? We should do an informal survey.
Yeah. Text us if you share this with your friends, and that'll be. See, it's just going to get them to share it out.
Nice.
This is how you go viral. I learned it on a Facebook post my mom sent me. All right. Enough pretending to be older than we are, right, Alan? Right?
Sure. Exactly. We're
hello, fellow teenagers. This is just something we got to open the show. Who doesn't like a comeback in tennis? Don't you like a comeback in tennis?
I love a comeback in tennis.
Everybody loves a comeback in tennis. Here we go.
Yeah, what do you tell yourself when you got down, though, and having to serve to stay in the match? What do you tell yourself differently?
Because I know if I don't win this game, I'm done. So I'm good from behind.
Y'all let me in this damn house.
Should we have recorded?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
All right, you ready?
I am ready. Are you recording?
Yes. All right. Well, you want to start a show?
Let's start a show.
That podcast is filling your head with garbage.
No offense taken there.
Well, it sounds like none taken. Welcome to episode number 377 of Not Taken, the internet's only debate and current events show, with your hosts, Dustin and Alan, two political nomads from two different worlds. Shout out to Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band for use of their song Ways and Means for intro music. Thank you for joining us. Time of this recording, it is Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. It's a great day for America. We are two coastal elites coming to you from the shores of the mighty Cumberland in Madison, Tennessee, all the way to the Pacific waters of El Cerrito, California. Here to recap another week of current events and sharing way too much of our tragic personal lives, and taking a sledgehammer to the culture war echo chambers. Please subscribe right now wherever you're listening to this. We're on all podcast platforms. There has been a little thing. I think Google Podcasts went to YouTube and it just fucked up all memberships. Multiple people were like, I don't know how to find you. I know you're there, but it's not porting over. I hope that's all been resolved. I don't believe there's anything I can do. If anyone's still having trouble with that, let me know. I'd love to make sure we can.
Yeah, DM us. We'll figure it out.
This is not the place for housekeeping, though. This is the place to invite you to never have to worry about that and join the Patreon, where they have their own podcast player and video player. From there, you can look at all of our archived hidden tracks.
Yes.
Before every episode, we do about 30 minutes, sometimes more, of bonus material, oftentimes too hot for TV, things that if we're ever going to get Al Gore on the podcast, we just can't have him knowing about that. Damn it, this shouldn't be at the beginning of this show. Anyway, Al, it's okay. Come on the show. Proud son of Tennessee. Anyway, what was I doing? Oh, go on over to nonetakenpod.com. Join the Patreon. There's 3 levels to meet you at $3, $8,
$9,
$9, and $18.
Yes. They're all multiples of 3.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Smart. Yeah. Businessman over there. Yeah, join the Patreon, guys. There's a lot of extra content there. You'll see the video of all this. Most of what we're playing has a video. I try to select clips that sound good anyways, but there's added context. And if you join at the $18, the Culture Warrior level, we will send you a Culture War Veteran t-shirt. You earned it. Alan?
Absolutely. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. You can also go to nonetakenpod.com and check out our merch store over there. We got some cool hoodies and t-shirts and like Dustin's wearing right now.
We have this one with the Nuntaken zebra. We also have the one with the dick on it where it says podcast, just in case people don't know what Nuntaken is.
Just for funsies. Yeah. Also, don't forget to support the people that support us. Slicketsdigital.com for all your SEO and marketing needs. Slicketsdigital.com.
Hell yeah.
So welcome to the show, everybody. Hope you all are having a great week. I myself got up to some fun and hijinks over the weekend. Ended up hanging out with Tim and Allison and some neighbors, like a couple blocks from me, actually. Met us down there at the backyard in Richmond. I've talked about that place before. It's really cool. Just had some beers and some food and hung out. And then we ended up going back to their place and hanging out a bit longer.
How long has Richmond been gentrified? When I lived in the Bay Area, I would not go to Richmond.
So there are
and keep in mind, I moved from Richmond to Detroit. No, I'm sorry. I moved from Vallejo. I moved from Vallejo to Detroit.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know Richmond.
There are parts of Richmond that are very nice.
But there was nothing to go to 20 years ago.
Yeah, I imagine that's true. I definitely wasn't hanging out in Richmond 20 years ago. But yeah, there's still parts of
Norteño. I was told if I was a Norteño, I was welcome there.
I don't
probably quite know what that meant, but I assumed it was gang related.
Probably. But there's still certain neighborhoods that aren't very nice in Richmond as well. But there's definitely some gentrification that's happened there. Anyways, had a great time. And then yesterday, Drew came up from
OBD.
SoCal. Yeah, OBD came up. So that was cool. We hung out. We went to we met Tim and Allison at Ghost Town in Oakland. Had some beers out there. We watched the the final game for the Stanley Cup. At the
Oh, it was a good
Hockey-
game. Well, it was the first. That was a good period and a half.
Yeah, it was a good period. and a
The
half.
last few minutes of the third period, there was a lot of opportunities where I thought Edmonton was going to tie it.
Yeah.
Especially that
and
time when the goalie lost his stick. I was like, come on.
right. And I really like
It is hilarious that Canada still hasn't won a cup.
It is
Like,
pretty fun.
I didn't want Florida to win it. And then when they did, I was like, okay, well, it's still funny. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
Best
I kind of wanted to see
Canadian
Connor
team
McDavid win it.
I do too, but he's young.
But
That's
he's
fine.
young. He's got.
I
plenty
mean,
of
he won't
opportunities.
because he plays for Canadian. He'll go down to the Kings and win one, just like his old buddy
Probably.
Wayne.
Probably. And they went to a beer garden after that on Telegraph right there. Really fabulous. Like the weather's been so perfect here. It was a great weekend, man. I had a great
That's
time.
great. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's good times. Good times.
I'm looking forward to this heat dome passing because you guys had the heat dome first and then it came over this way.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like this till October, though. Maybe November. We'll see. It was hot over here, man. We went to the lake though.
Nice.
First lake day of the season because we've been
Mhm.
busy and preoccupied with getting married and all that stuff.
Sure.
The dogs were so fun. They couldn't be more excited. They saw me
Oh,
bring
sure.
the paddleboard through the house. They're like, "Oh fuck, it's happening!"
Oh,
We
they
put
know.
vests on them. They're like, "Oh, we're going swimming." It was like 95 degrees, but when you're on the water, it's a little bit cooler, and you're constantly getting wet and drying off. It wasn't too hateful. Although Mithra spent probably 4 hours straight of playing fetch. Like he would like lay down for a little bit, and then he'd be like, "Here it is," and he'd drop the ball at my feet, and then he'd get mad at me for not throwing it. So I'd throw it. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I have a funny story to tell you about going to the lake. Natasha,
Earmuffs.
feel free to skip ahead. Well, I told her I was going to tell her to talk about this. So,
Okay.
so it's always an ordeal, like to get the boards in the water, get the dogs onto the boards, get the chairs onto the boards, get onto the board yourself and start paddling. Right. So, I usually put Mithra on my board because he's a big dummy and he always tries to swim to me anyways. So I'll put him on my board. I have the cooler on my board. I put the chairs on Natasha's board. We always load them on the front of the board. I don't know. Natasha's a little rusty. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
It's been a year.
It's been a
right?
while. Yeah.
It's been a while. I have that in the sheet somewhere, but don't stop distracting myself. So once we're on the board, I start paddling, because you got to get a little momentum. And then after you start paddling a bit, you turn around. Natasha is like half as close to me as I was expecting her to be. She's not like still at the wall where we put in at, but like she's not moving very well. And she's just spinning in circles. And I'm like, I'm not being helpful. I'm like, will you get your act together? Like, what are you doing back there? Stop horsing around. I'm pretty sure I said stop horsing around. And she's like, you're not being helpful. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like paddle on your left more if you keep spinning that way. She's like, I know how to paddle. I'm like, well, it doesn't look like it, but okay. And finally,
she had to get her sea legs back.
And so like part of the problem too is like if the dogs are too far apart, they'll start trying to jump off and swim towards each other.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, well, I'll stop, so that you can catch up with me. And I turn and watch her, and she's just going in circles, getting so mad. She's getting so frustrated. And I'm like, I'm trying to give her pointers, but I know it's not helping, but I do it anyways. And I'm just like, and finally I was like, I don't think your rudder, I don't think your fin, your like rear fin is in because the fins click in, but I remember putting it on. So I'm like, the lake wasn't very shallow, so it didn't like drag on any rocks and pop off or anything.
Right.
It's like you're looking like you don't have your tail fin in. And I'm like, come get closer to me and that takes like 10 minutes because she's just doing circles and like fucking.
I feel like that's one of those things that compounds itself too. Because the more you fail, the more frustrated you get, the harder it is.
She's doing circles like BDK in the parking lot. Remember BDK thinking he left his keys somewhere and having to turn around? That's a joke just for Taylor. So once she gets close to me, I can see under the rear of her board, and I'm like, your fin's right there, but you're putting the rear of your board in front.
Oh,
she's got on the board backwards with the stuff behind her. We've never loaded it on the back. Like it's never been loaded in the back. But I guess, she's Australian. She's like, you put it in the boot, it's not in the bonnet,
Hey now, spicy.
Yeah. So that was really fun. And I can't wait to see which ways she punishes me for sharing such a tragic personal life on the show. It's okay. I like it when she does. After that, so what did we do after that? I think we just came home. We were tired, man. Dogs were beat. Dogs.
Oh, I'm sure.
A long time.
Mithra must have just passed out.
It was a great day at the lake, though. It was fun.
Nice.
Awesome. It's been so great to be out there. So on Sunday we went to Pride, and I didn't know what to wear. And as we were going out the door, like I have a Hawaiian shirt that has like rainbows on it. I was like, that'll be fine.
Yeah,
There's a
nice.
certain group of people that kind of ruin tiki shirts. And those people aren't really the Pride Fest people, you know?
Right.
Anyway, so
Very fine people.
very fine on both sides. Alan,
Yep.
did you see that Snopes finally retracted their that Trump said very fine people?
He did. Yeah.
Many such cases.
Many such cases. Yeah.
So on the way out the door, I'm like, oh shit, the UEFA Cup's going on.
Oh
And
yeah.
Germany was playing Switzerland, and I was like, well, I kind of just want to wear my Germany kit. Plus, it's like really hot out, and that's like a wicking fabric.
Right.
And she's like, why don't you think that through? Why don't you just think really quick if you should be wearing a Germany jersey to a
You know,
Pride?
it's a fair point, Natasha. It's a fair point.
She talked me out of it. So
Oh,
it's sort of a rainbow, right? Like a little red, yellow, and black. That's a little bit of a rainbow.
yeah.
Still not. No.
Probably not.
Yeah.
How was it? Was it a fun
It was
event?
subdued. It was day 2 of it. The
Oh,
parade
okay.
was the first day. Being in Tennessee and knowing what the culture war take is on a
Sure.
Pride festival, I was like, this is something that nobody in Tennessee should ever even hesitate to bring their kids to. Not that I think you should
Right.
hesitate anyways, but like,
Right.
but I've also been to some Pride. I've been to San Diego Pride, and maybe, probably wouldn't recommend bringing a kid to that one, but it's your choice to bring your children.
Drew went to one.
It's not
I
like people
think
are going to go up to your kid and be weird, but like,
Yeah. Drew went to one, I think, on Sunday or Saturday, also down in SoCal before he came up.
yeah, they were happening all over.
Yeah.
He doesn't listen. My stepbrother, when my dad remarried in Denver, we stay in touch, and he sent me a picture with him and his, I'll go with daughter. Perhaps there's a they situation there at the Denver's Pride, and I was like, oh, that's cool. We're on our way down to Nashville's, and he texted me back, what's Nashville's? And I'm like,
It's the same.
fucking stupid. Like, I don't know how to answer that. I was like, Nashville's Pride. What's maybe there's a version of the question I'm not understanding. Maybe sometimes I jump to conclusions,
Sure.
That's gonna haunt me.
Did he ever
That might be the
clarify
rest
or
of my
no?
life will be like, what? No, I told him Nashville's Pride, and he didn't respond. So whatever. Yeah, anyways, speaking of gays, can we play some comedy that Thrash sent in?
Exactly.
Something
Sure.
gay, no doubt.
All right. This is Ron Funches. I saw Ron Funches like 10 years ago now, probably more than 10 years ago, down at I think it was at 12 Shiny Nickels in LA. Him and James Fritz did a show together.
No shit.
Yeah.
That'd be an awesome show to see.
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine.
Okay, here's Ron Funches talking about snacks. Oh, wait. Whoop. Okay. Now here's Ron Funches talking
There
about
we go.
Snacks too much. Either I'm snacking or using every ounce of my willpower not to snack, or I'm laying in bed at night thinking of ways snacks could get better. That's how I spend my time. Just late at night, just thinking like, ooh, what if little Debbie made ice cream sandwiches?
Oh, how'd you like to stuff one of those into jelly?
Okay, I like that some of you laugh, but a few of you heard me. What if little Debbie made ice cream sandwiches?
Do you ever suck the jelly out of a jelly donut and then fill it with chocolate swirl ice cream?
It called me brownie sandwich! A oatmeal cream pie ice cream sandwich!
Oh, by the way, I saw a banana cream pie at work today at lunch, or on my lunch break, and I thought about it, and I was like, no, oatmeal, a Boston cream pie. Boston cream pie is just like a regular cream pie, except homophobic and racist.
I like snacks too much. Either
Oh, that was the end of it. Yeah, that was a good time to interrupt, Dustin.
That was a good time.
Like to stuff one of them in a donut.
I feel like It's It already kind of is that, but
Yeah. That's a Bay Area original, isn't it?
it is. Yeah. San
We have
Francisco.
the one out here is called a Goo Goo Bar. I don't, sounds a little bit
It
too close
sounds-
to the other thing that to a non-Boston cream pie. All right. This is Kellen Erskine with a joke about a bike lock. Actually, this is dangerous. This guy is a troublemaker.
You know what else is not stealing? Putting an extra bike lock on a stranger's bike. It's insane that bike locks are legal. You have any idea the amount of power that you wield with your imagination and a bike lock? Like you could just walk past a Baskin Robbins and be like, "You're closed." You know what else is?
Yeah, he's a troublemaker for sure.
Yeah, that's not
got-
good for society.
He got suspended quite a bit in high school, I'd imagine.
Probably.
Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna bug me if I don't do this. Okay, thank you. Ben sent this one in. This is about June birthdays. I don't remember. Oh, okay. So it's a Pride Month joke. This is this is Liz Zagoni. Is this Jiz Zamboni?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's Liz Zagoni. I didn't
hell yeah.
recognize her.
I didn't know what she looked like.
I just didn't. Yeah, Liz Zagoni, aka Jiz Zamboni.
I don't know if you guys know this fun fact about Pride Month, but if you have a birthday in June, you're automatically gay because your parents fucked in Halloween costumes. It's a rule. It's a rule.
That's it. Okay. Kamala thought that was pretty good too.
Yeah. she was amused.
This is jazz. This is just jazz. My only note is jazz.
Okay.
Thrash, we gave you 3 clips for Pride Month, right? We're catering to you. All right. Betty loves this.
But every time I think about trying to explain the sexuality or identity spectrum of my son, I just remember the one time my grandmother tried to explain jazz to me. I was like, "What is jazz?" She's like, "What is jazz? Jesus Christ. Okay, look. Sometimes it's going to look like this, sometimes it's going to look like that." You know, it was really an underground movement that was birthed out of self-exploration and not wanting to hear the labels where you could celebrate that the wrong note for you might be the right note for somebody else. And it's a beautiful movement with duos, trios, quartets, polytempos. It doesn't really matter what instrument you're playing, there's a lot of improvisation. Sometimes at its best, you just go watch it in the basement. And look, sometimes some religions, some politicians, Florida, they just want music to sound like one fucking thing. But these old white guys, they don't even know how to play their wife's instruments. Who the fuck are they to show up and tell them?
It's Hunter Hill comedy.
That is very funny.
Very good. Let's see what George Bush thinks about that one, Alan. Oh, George Bush liked that.
He liked it. He liked it. He signed off.
Did I skip around? Yeah, I went back to Thrash. Oh, okay. Well, it was Thrash, Ben, Thrash. Okay. I don't think Ben's gay, but he never told me. So to be fair, Thrash almost never brings it up. It's not like it's a huge part. Why am I focusing on this? I
don't know.
Now you saying it like that is not making me feel more comfortable. James sent this in. This is something that comes up on the show somewhat recently. I have to sign into Facebook. No, I don't. Thank God. This is Joffrey.
He's funny.
Joffrey Osmus. Yeah. This is about participation trophies. I don't know how to not mute it. Oh, it's up there.
You get older. Yeah, my grandpa's always on that participation trophy shit. That shit's so embarrassing when people get mad at that. You ever hear that? My grandpa's always like, "You kids are so goddamn spoiled back in my day. You don't fucking win. You get no goddamn raise when I was a fucking kid." And I was like, "Yeah, Grandpa, you didn't need participation trophies because you refused to compete against black athletes. Pretty easy to win a trophy back then, Grandpa." He's like, "No, we were pretty good at basketball." And then you see all the old videos, they're all dribbling like this. They all got goggles on, they're getting allergy shots at halftime. You know? They're passing like, "Heads up, Gerald." The shorts are up to here because they don't have to worry about the dick peeking out yet. You know? When you get old.
I'm just like John Stockton.
Oh man, those shorts back then. Damn.
Yeah. Yep.
Wild.
This is a good clip. Way sent this one in. This is a great clip. This is just never go to urgent care.
My last year and a half of high school.
This is Lauren Alexandra with Rapunzel hair. So her last year and a half of high school.
School was during the pandemic, so, you know, living with my entire family. Obviously, I was a virgin when I graduated. About like 2 weeks after graduation, I went to urgent care because I was just so sick. I mean, I was throwing up, I was pale than usual. So I go to urgent care, get a bunch of tests. Flu test is negative, COVID test is negative, and my pregnancy test is positive. Yeah.
Oh, that happened.
I was like, maybe I'm the Virgin Mary. And at this point, my mom just kind of looks over at me and goes, that guy must have been really bad in bed for you to have just forgotten about him. And the doctor comes in. He made my mom leave the room and then questioned me like I was on trial. Do you have a boyfriend? No. Are you sexually active? No. Oh, so you're just like a loser. Yes! So then the doctor, a male boy, guy doctor, takes his own pregnancy test to make sure that the box of tests isn't faulty. His was negative, by the way, in case you were wondering. So 3 pregnancy tests, a blood test, and a very expensive urgent care visit later, I had food poisoning. The moral of the story is never, ever, ever go to urgent care. Never.
That's a wild story.
Yeah, it is. Way to turn into a bit. That's a good bit.
Yeah.
Okay, one last comedy clip from Nameless. My only note is dad. So let's see. I don't remember this. Let's see. This is Dan Soder.
Like I tell people all the time, my dad died of drinking when I was 14, and immediately people are like, that is terrible.
Same. It's like, I like this bit because my dad died when I was like 23 and drinking. And I kind of have the same, like, I don't know how much longer he wanted to live.
You don't know him. He was a Jimmy Buffett fan. That's exactly what he wanted. My dad literally wasted away in Margaritaville. What are you sad about? You didn't find. He's not your dad. I don't understand why his alcoholism is always supposed to be sad. When I tell people he was an alcoholic, they're like, "Did he steal your food money and spend it on his hooch?" No, he was just fun. I'm sorry that my dad partied so hard he died from it. What's up, Gary? I think your living dads are a bunch of nerds. Staying alive your whole life, fucking geeks.
I'm gonna be there when you turn into a man.
Beat it, dork! Like I tell people.
Beat it, dork.
Soder's hilarious. That guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He's in that whole clique with Normand and them, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay. I should actually put effort into getting Normand on the show. That would be a huge get for episode 400.
That would be amazing.
All right. Now I
mean,
should try to
no
do it.
pressure.
Yeah. Hey, met you at the alcohol festival. Maybe we can have you come out to.
Do you remember me from this picture we took together?
Yeah, I remember this time we took. Hey, that's a good way to start it. Yeah. I just met Bret Hart. Sorry, I didn't think you were that cool. I still can't believe I met Bret Hart.
That is pretty wild.
I like that when I told you that you're like, yeah, and you met Mark Norman. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
See, for me, Norman would be a bigger deal than Hart, but that's just my childhood, you know.
I'm gonna fucking cancel the show. All right. I'm every comedian's accessible after their show. Like you can meet a comedian by going to their show. Like,
it's true.
Almost every. Like, right. All right. God, that was upsetting for me. Can we play the how about that sound?
Let's do it.
Oh, how about that?
All right, let's get into Eddie Murphy was asked what genre of film he has yet to do. That who asked him this? That's not Al Roker, is it? Oh, looks a lot like that is Al Roker. Wow, we talked about Al Roker the pre-show, talking about 9/11.
Man, he's lost so much weight.
I know. Yeah, and that was pre-Ozempic. That was like just I don't know. He was always bouncing around, but he kept it off eventually. Good for him.
Yeah.
Gets you worried though, right? When guys get older and they lose all the weight, like Trump, you're like, that's not healthy, right?
Yeah. What's happening
there? All right. So Al Roker is asking Eddie Murphy what kind of movie genre he hasn't done yet that he'd like to do.
What kind of movie haven't you done that you still want to do?
I haven't done porno. I have not done porno. And I think that would shake people up right now if I made that twist.
What kind?
Oh, how about that?
That is like the quickest, funniest response to that question of all time.
Yeah.
That's
I'm excited
awesome.
about the Axel Foley movie.
So am I.
Yeah, it comes on every time I turn on my Netflix. It's like, just in case.
Coming soon.
Better not disappoint.
Yeah,
Better not disappoint.
I trust him.
If not, I don't know, man. I watched Coming to America. And, that movie is only good on an airplane. Like, it's. We can watch Axel Foley next time I'm on an airplane. See if it's funny then. You know what? We'll treat it like Joe Biden in the debates. Keep the expectations low. That way,
There you go.
And I love how Republicans are the ones keeping Joe Biden's expectations low. Republicans are like, he's going to be lazy. He's going to need a bunch of drugs in him if he's going to even show up. It's like, you're setting the bar so low. Like, you're getting everyone ready to accept mediocrity as like, sorry, what?
I said if he just strings a few sentences
Yeah,
together, it's a win.
right. As long as he doesn't like keep his mouth open like old people do. You know, it's like if he doesn't do that, he's going to look great.
Yeah.
Why do old people do that? They always go,
I have no idea.
I don't do that. I do that while I sleep.
I'm trying to get oxygen.
Yeah, I suppose so. It's just, you know, the jaw becomes heavy over time.
Sure.
Thrash sent this one in. This is a thing about Satanists. I think this is, I think I was going to put this in the pre-show. I'm glad I didn't. This is just like public access preacher talk about Satanists. Listen to how the man's story changes throughout the story and just wonder if he's telling the truth.
You know, the Bible says if you touch the prophets and the anointed ones of God, that you have a curse come upon you. I had one guy 2 weeks ago try to take my life with a knife. You know, this guy comes to my house. He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
It's like Alex Jones with hair.
And melt those babies into candles, their skin.
What the
And that's
fuck?
supposed to give them more demonic power.
Skin candles.
And these Satanists came to my house,
So he said, a guy. He said, a guy.
A guy, yes.
5 of them, and threatened my life. You know, there's a young person watching me, Kevin. I'm talking to you right now. You know who you are.
Hold on, I want to do that. Hey, Kevin, I don't know if you're listening to the podcast right now, but fuck you.
You know, the Bible says if you touch the prophets and the anointed...
Okay, it started over. All right, that was it.
What the fuck?
I don't know.
How about that indeed?
We have an Aussie clip. I love it when we have Aussie clips. This is just this is the former prime minister doing like a press event because he still gets a lot of press opportunities. And so former prime minister Scott Morrison, he's doing a press event, but he's standing on someone's lawn inconsiderately. And the owner comes out and has he takes offense to it.
1,000 Australians.
Everyone get off the grass, please.
Sure. Let's just move back from there.
Hey guys, I've just reseated that.
Please, off the thing.
Sorry, man.
All good? That's all good. Thanks.
Wow. That's a real life get off my lawn moment.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. I just reseated that. Go to your presser somewhere
God
else.
damn it.
Nobody can see the fucking grass. This was a pretty good one. Do you know, Dingo sent this in. Do you remember when Bill Gates said this?
What if instead of Bill Gates, my name is Bill Gates, and instead of spreading my money throughout the entire world, I bend you over and spread your butt cheeks and make that Boosie Gate wider than the Milky Way? What if instead of Bill Gates, my name is Bill Gates?
What if?
I mean, these deep fakes are pretty good.
That was a deep fake? Oh, I got fooled. Oh, well, I'll check the box that said there was AI generated content in this. I did not know. I got tricked. I can't know everything that I post. I shouldn't be held to that standard. It is 2 weeks in a row. Aiden sent this in.
Hold on. Bring that
Aiden sent this in. I think it was because he heard last week's show. If he hadn't heard the show yet, it is kind of coincidental that he sent in a Cuba Gooding Jr. clip. But I think we are a Mountain Dew, Rudy Giuliani, and Cuba Gooding Jr. themed podcast.
And Jurassic Park.
And Jurassic Park? When did that happen?
No, Jurassic Park. Remember, that was always part of it.
The 1993 documentary Jurassic Park?
Yes,
okay.
that one.
Where the Hawk 2 girl spit all that shit in Dennis Nedry's face.
Yes.
What's that dinosaur called? Well, it's not. It's called a Hawk 2 girl. Yeah. No wonder you're extinct. Remember, do you want to play fetch? And he throws a stick. Go get the stick. All right. Sorry. Here's Cuba Gooding Jr. Not what he got canceled for, but it should be.
man up here. Hold on. Somebody suck that baby's dick.
What the?
I don't know. I'm gonna play it again because I think he's calling this guy a baby.
Okay.
Somebody suck that baby's dick. Hold on. Bring that man up here. Hold on. Somebody suck that baby's dick.
That's
Somebody
fucking
suck
weird.
that baby's dick.
Damn. Was he hammered? I don't know.
Yes, he was hammered. Yes, but like,
Jesus Christ.
it's still. I mean, you know what, Alan? Good excuse. You're right. He was hammered. It's fine.
How about that?
How dare we besmirch the good name of our friend Cuba Gooding Jr. How about a musical segment? I got 3 music clips for you.
Okay.
What Beatles song do you think was sampled for the Thong Song?
Eleanor Rigby.
Wait, do you know that?
No, I just
Wait, are you full of shit?
wait, am I right?
It's Eleanor Rigby.
No shit.
Yes.
There was the
Wait,
first song that came to
how
my
does
mind.
Eleanor Rigby start? It has like that violin that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was a version of Eleanor Rigby that somebody else did, but it has that same intro. And then they sample. Well, here. This blew my fucking mind.
I didn't
I
know.
can't believe you just said Eleanor Rigby.
That was the first Beatles song popped in my head.
Do you remember Mike O'Mara doing his impression of Ray Romano's brother?
Yes.
Something Garrett. And he'd
Yes.
always go, Eleanor Rigby, I'm your brother, Raymond. Like that's, I'm not doing a good impression, but if you think of what's that guy's name? Something Garrett, right?
Something, yeah.
Garrett. I'm thinking Pat Garrett. That's the
sounds
that's the guy that shot Billy the Kid. I
different.
think.
Yeah, it's a different.
Like something Garrett. It's a comedian, but anyway, I'm your brother, Raymond. Eleanor Rigby. No, all right. Anyways, Taylor, this is a whole episode for you. All right, Thong Song.
Wes Montgomery. It was his version of Eleanor Rigby, obviously from the Beatles. I started off with just this.
All right.
That's all I heard, just that part, and I just kept looping it. Next thing I know, he's adding the kick in. And then he starts adding the, the percussions
I don't recognize him without the silver hair.
and the hi-hat. Like, whoa, wait a minute. Oh, this is gonna be sick. Wait a minute. And I could hear it just resonating through the walls. I'm like, are you serious? That's gonna be sick.
Oh, I can hear it now.
So then I go upstairs. We both just sitting there listening to it, going crazy. Like, they didn't need anything else. So I just did that. Just real simple. Before you know it, I had the beat. That Wes Montgomery.
Wild.
Right? Button.
Oh, about that.
It was Brad Garrett, by the way.
Kids, what?
Brad Garrett.
Brad Garrett, yeah. Kids, I cannot stress to you enough how huge that fucking song was that summer.
Fucking everywhere.
It was good. Like, I don't know what your impression is of it now, but like, as someone that was like, I was transitioning from that like high school-ish age where you only like one genre to like, and I was like,
your horizons.
yeah, I was like, man, this is a good song, and I love how the girls act when it comes on. And it's like, imagine a whole song about a garment of underwear that is so like girls wear essentially a thong to the beach now, like
right.
Not essentially, and we were living La Vida Loca.
And that music video
references Ricky Martin in the song.
Right. Do you remember the video? Oh my god.
Yeah.
It
was a good song.
Good times.
Good video. Right up there with the Thong Song video was right up there with. Hold on, my favorite part of that song is towards the end when it gets really dramatic again. He's like, "Tell me, let me see." It gets like really serious for a bit.
It does. Yeah.
But I will say that video is right up there with the Back That Ass Up video, which was a game we would like to. I don't know about Alan, but it was a game that kids our age like to play, which was let's see how fast you can masturbate during an MTV video. Is it going to go to commercial?
It was a pastime of many a young lad, I think, at that time.
Okay, we're in our musical block here.
Yes.
30s songs. Tasha sent this in. It says 30s songs. I really don't know. I don't remember adding this to the sheet, but I trust anything that Tasha sends me. It says 30S song, 30s song.
30s song.
Oh, this is a song about being in your 30s, and it's a fucking smash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I actually want this so that I could like play it in the car.
I was thinking like
I'm in my 30s now, and sometimes I'm obligated to go out to some place that's way too crowded and too loud. I can't believe I had to leave my house, yeah, and now I'm stuck making small talk with some guy about traffic. He's answering things that no one asked him. He's drinking a strange beer. I don't fit in here. Then my wife sneaks in, whispers in my ear. You wanna sneak out early without saying goodbye. I looked at her and said, I knew you were the love of my life. Let's go get Taco Bell and be in bed by 10:35. I'll even watch that stupid Netflix show that you like. Just say my favorite words. Let's go home. I wanna go home. Can we please go home?
Dude, if Little Dicky has a career, that song should launch this guy.
That's a banger.
It's a
Absolute
fucking
banger.
Yeah. It's
I
like
mean,
it resonates, right?
It sounds way too much like The Weeknd, but it's still a banger.
Yeah. Or I think it sounds more like Little Dicky, but it's a whole genre. Also, this is gonna sound racist. It's one of those things where it's like it's intended to be a compliment, but it is speaking in generalities, okay? And about race.
Okay.
Traditionally, Black people have been better rappers than white people. I don't think that that's a bold statement.
No, not at all.
They fucked up when they started singing their raps and doing the singing raps because the white people could do the singing raps. And then you got Little
They let
Dicky and
people
guy
in the
like this.
door.
You know what I mean? Like, and I honestly, I blame Drake because he's getting up there talking about his feelings all the time and then starts,
I mean, I blame Drake for everything personally.
I
so,
do.
yeah.
I'm so, it's so vindicating to have hated Drake this whole time and then to be on this side of history. Like, it hurt for a long time. I was just watching people. There was times where I was like, okay, this one's a jam. And I always said Drake could rap his ass off.
Well, like Marvin's Room was really good. That was
Yeah, but what was the one that I liked? I can't even think about it. No, I'm not going to spend time on that. One more musical thing. We forgot to talk about Justin Timberlake.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it wasn't in your headlines show, Alan.
It didn't make the cut.
Didn't make it to the headlines.
No.
Should I talk about my favorite wrinkle about his arrest before or after I play this clip?
Let's do after.
Okay. I don't think this clip, this PSA from the 90s aged very well.
Hey, how's it going? We're in sync.
You know, the group in sync?
No. We're just going door to door to say thanks.
Yeah, for talking to your kids about drinking. You see, even with all our success, you're still a bigger influence on your kids than we are.
Dad, who was that?
Just some guys, Lance, Joey, something about a sink.
Lance! Justin!
Lance. First guy she names the gay guy.
Justin.
Did Lance
That's
ever
very
go to
funny.
space? Didn't he want to go to space so bad? Can you look up if Lance Bass went to space?
Sounds like a
Lance
Theo Vaughn episode.
This guy, we grew up, we called him Lance Bass because I don't know. I can't do it.
Can you
good.
pull that up? Did Lance Bass go to space?
Did Lance Bass.
He was unable to fly. He got certified by the Russian space program and NASA, but there was no financial backing for the mission, or it fell through.
What
So he
happened?
didn't
To all
actually
that
get to
sync
go.
money, buddy?
All that training, and he didn't get to go.
Wow. Okay, so my favorite wrinkle about the Justin Timberlake story is so I think he did the smart thing when they pull you over, because if you've had if you've had a couple of beers or maybe like one, maybe two or three or
Right up her anus!
that's 4 margaritas.
That's 4 margaritas.
Yeah, but if you had like 1 or 2 margaritas, you're probably best off just taking your chances and saying, I'm not going to do a breathalyzer. Take me to the station. We'll do blood work there, right?
Right.
Or if you know you're going to pass, be like, breathalyze me. I don't fucking care. I haven't been drinking.
Right.
That's it. He knew he'd been drinking and he figured, I'll wait. By the time we get to the station, maybe it'll burn off a little bit and we'll see how that goes. So he went to the station, I think, to get his blood test. So that came back with extra stuff in it.
Yeah, which I'm surprised they even tested for, right? But I guess
Well, okay. So did you hear the other 2 things?
I heard poppers.
That was the other one that I heard too. So he's up in the Hamptons getting his butthole nice and big. Like maybe he just likes to, can't other drugs give you a whoop feeling? Like, isn't nitrous still a thing?
Yeah, I think
It doesn't come in a little
Whip it.
jar though, right?
It's so funny.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying I don't.
I'm not either.
You
It's
know,
very funny though.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what the third thing is. Probably cocaine, right? It's got to be cocaine.
It's got to be.
It'd be disappointing if it wasn't.
Fair.
Okay.
Fair.
All right. Well, that's it. Poor Justin Timberlake. So put upon.
Yeah.
I love that people are like, that cop didn't know who he was. It's like he was drunk and driving. Like, sorry,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
that's something we don't condone. We condone having a few pops and enjoying the freedom of driving a car responsibly. But we do not condone drinking and driving. And you know, that is irresponsible. Don't do that.
Very irresponsible. Don't do that.
Yeah.
PSA.
Oh, about that.
The boys at none taken.
I think we covered that.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a cool trick and actually a kind of neat story about how this guy can do this. So this guy's gonna share something pretty interesting. Wait, this isn't it. Oh, I shared the wrong thing. Well, do you want to listen to?
Sure. What is this?
This is the founder of Whole Foods. This is John Mackey talking about socialism. Man, I don't even remember what the other clip was going to be. I just trusted myself to set it up. Well, I copied the wrong clip. Here we go.
One of the things that socialists have always tried to do is they believe they can create a new human being, one who basically will voluntarily, willingly sacrifice for the good of the collective. And it's been tried over and over and over again. I'm actually a student of the history of socialism and a history of utopian thinking, because I had a lot of it when I was young.
Yeah.
And what we've learned is that no matter how great it is, you look at the history of the kibbutz, for example, they have what they call the third generation problem. You get these very idealistic people that are willing to sacrifice for the collective good, the first generation. Second generation is less into it. By the third generation, they just want to get the hell out and they want to make their way some other part in the larger part of the world. So I just don't think utopia is ever going to be there. And you need to study history. You need to see where we came from.
It's in fucking New York in the background.
And most people aren't aware of it. They take for granted our prosperity, not understanding that it's a delicate creation that can be destroyed fairly easily.
I did not intend that to be in this part of the show, but I didn't also feel like restructuring the sheet. So button.
Isn't that something?
But we're still in this. How about that? I really wish I knew what the other clip was. Do you want to talk about that? It's kind of a mood changer.
Yeah, it is kind of a mood changer for how about that.
James, send me whatever clip you sent me. I don't know what it was. Cool trick. Go ahead.
I mean, I think he makes some sense. We've talked about those kibbutzes before and how they attempt to, you know,
and not
have a
just that,
collective-
right? Like in other instances, people talk about it as like, because it's an old adage that like the father will start the company. No, what is it? The grandfather will start the company, the father will grow it, and then the
grandchildren
grandson will drive it into the ground, right?
Right. That's a common trope. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe it's not true, but it seems to be.
I mean,
this-
anecdotally, you've seen it happen. So
Here, I got it. This is a cool trick, and it's pretty neat how he can do it. I'll just play the audio, okay? This is what I meant.
Hey, I'm the backwards dude, and I can talk in reverse. This app will take anything I say and reverse it. So what do you want me to say?
Say I'm not 100 bees working together.
Now he's
gonna play it backwards.
No way.
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick.
What? Okay. they had us in the first half.
Gotcha.
Gotcha, bitch.
I gotta get a gotcha bitch from Chappelle Show. That was always a good line. That's a good line. Oh, hey, Alan, do you know I got married?
I was aware of that, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't have this for last week's show. I wish I did. But this is from the Cody Tucker guy. Cool guy, Cody Tucker. He's got a bunch of like did you knows. Here's some did you knows about getting married and wedding facts. Wedding facts.
During the Middle Ages, weddings were wild as hell. People getting killed, stabbed, all kinds of stuff going on. One of the common things that would happen during a wedding at this time is that somebody from an invading kingdom would come in and steal the bride away. That's not good. The groomsmen would have to be ready to throw down if need be. The groom's got to have somebody to help him out. So he would have whoever he knew who was most handy with the steel standing right next to him in case it went down. This person's title was the best swordsman. Now, over time, far less slicing and dicing at a wedding. So the title of best swordsman ends up getting shortened from best swordsman to best man. That is where the tradition of the best man comes from. During the
How about
that? How about that indeed?
Love the Cody Tucker Show.
Yeah. I think there was a couple of things about weddings too. Like there was the reason the bride excuse me carries a bouquet of flowers is because back in the day people didn't bathe very often. And so it was to smell better. And also the reason that a lot of
On your
weddings
wedding day.
The reason that a lot of weddings happened like in a certain time of year was because of similar things. But yeah.
Huh. Yeah, there's a bunch of and the whole like carrying over the threshold and things like that.
Yeah. Did you do that?
No, we forgot. Yeah. We took an Uber home from D's and then walked in the house and played with our dogs. I think
Nice.
Natasha let the
You know what?
dogs out, and then I wrestled with them in my wedding suit.
That's actually a better story.
It was pretty good. Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
And again, threshold is because you'd put a thresh of straw down to prevent the wind from coming up between your drafty floorboards, and you put a threshold to prevent it from going between doors. Too many did you knows. But you guys are going to be great on Jeopardy after listening to Untaken for a few weeks. Can we play a silly clip from Kunk on everything?
Sure. I'm always amused by her.
I know, me too.
But if that were true,
Let me start it over. Laughter is the best medicine.
they say that laughter's the best medicine. But if that were true, why do so many comedians die of cancer? Perhaps they weren't funny enough. It's a sobering thought. And that's useful because many comedians are also alcoholics.
Oh, Jesus. Wow. It got really dark, and how about that?
It did get dark. 50-year-old net worth versus 30-year-old net worth. This is a Colin Jost bit that Thrash sent in.
A new report finds that the average 50-year-old in America is worth over $1 million, while the average 30-year-old is worth more dead than alive.
Oh, about that. It's because they own a house. That's the only reason.
Yes. Yeah. This is man. Okay, I've got. Well, here's that John Mackey clip. I wonder if that's going to be the. No, that's still there. It's in both. Okay. All right. I've got one more clip then to end. How isn't?
How about that?
How about that? I labeled this clip "Red Lobster Truthers." We all got duped by Red Lobster, and now they were closing up their cheddar biscuits once and for all.
Red Lobster played you. They played me. They played everyone. What you think happened to Red Lobster didn't actually happen. Its downfall was predicated on two crazy twists. The second one, even crazier than the first. Check it out. Red Lobster was purchased in 2014 by Golden Gate Capital for $2.1 billion. They must have saw some serious potential and thought they can turn around the restaurant, right? Wrong. So what Golden Gate Capital did was they sold all the land that the Red Lobsters were sitting on, and they sold it to, dare I say, an affiliate company. Then that company leased the land back to those Red Lobsters at a high rate. So Golden Gate Capital is making money off the appreciation of the land from the sister company they sold to, and that sister company they have affiliation with is making money by selling the leases above value. They had no intention of actually making Red Lobster better. They wanted just to profit off it, squeeze every dime out of it. So as this is going on, all the Red Lobster are in panic mode. There's no support, no care, no anything by ownership. But
as someone who's worked inside their restaurants, both on the air conditioning side and the kitchen side, I can confirm. Yeah. You'd have like very obvious and necessary repairs, and they're like, you have to send a quote in. It's like, really? I have the parts right here. It's going to cost you twice as much for me to come back out. Like,
this story has happened before.
This story is infuriating, dude.
Sears did the same thing. The CEO of Sears essentially did the exact same thing because they owned most of the land in the buildings.
Hey, didn't Bed Bath & Beyond do the same thing?
Pretty much, yes.
They owned all their land.
Yeah, but the CEO ran two different companies, Halyard and the real estate company, and essentially profited by just selling all the property and extracting every bit of value out of it he could. Real asshole, that guy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
dude, there's a Sears in Santa Monica right at the end of the 10, and like it's iconic. I doubt they'll ever take the signage down. I doubt that can't still be there. Like, I'd have to work in the mall next to it, and I couldn't park in the Sears parking lot. I'm like, but this parking lot's right here. There's nowhere to put my van. They're like, go park in an alley, scumbag. Pray I don't get towed on a Saturday when I have to go work on some mall air conditioner. Okay, anyways.
It gets even crazier. After the pandemic, Thai Union purchased enough shares to become the majority owner of Red Lobster, and they had no intention of making it better. So what they do is they had the new CEO from their company elbow out all the shrimp suppliers, stating quality issues. Then they used their own shrimp suppliers to supply Red Lobster with all of their shrimp. Then the CEO made the endless shrimp promotion permanent on the menu. The $400 million it took that they purchased all those shares to make them a majority owner, they used it as a tax write-off. They weren't planning on getting their money back. They sold Red Lobster super cheap, low-quality shrimp at a very marked up price. So they're making a bunch of money off the shrimp they're supplying them, low-quality shrimp for a very marked up price, and then putting out the books for Red Lobster, all while planning on having Red Lobster file for bankruptcy. Now, when Thai Union was questioned about this, they said, oh my gosh, I can't believe someone would say that. That's absurd. But guess what? That's what happened. Red Lobster.
Wow, that sucks, man.
Does suck.
Oh, yeah.
That's
So
it's
would you,
infuriating. Like, I mean, fuck a Red Lobster. I never liked going there.
same, but yeah, it just sucks to see a sort of iconic corporation go down like that. Is that
I will say
capitalism?
it would be really nice to start a business and have it be sold for $2.1 billion to someone. Fuck it, I don't care what you do with it, but man, that sucks.
Is that capitalism functioning properly or not?
No,
Yeah.
no, yeah, of course not. Yeah. No, all kinds of flaws in it. Yeah. Which I wonder what John Mackey thinks about that, actually. John Mackey's an interesting case though, because people just assume that, like, I feel like when people look at Whole Foods, there's the stinky old hippies, and then it's like, well, I don't know, the owner probably donates to Republicans, but he is also grew up in a commune, or they started the company in a commune at like a house in Austin or something. I forget the whole story. I actually really recommend. Didn't I send it to you? Did you listen to it? The Reason interview with John Mackey was very good. I recommend listening to that podcast.
Oh, I don't think I got to that. I will check it out.
It's really good. It's very good. I'd like to hear what you think about it. But
okay, all right.
The moment to talk about that is past, and I invited you earlier, and you didn't have any further comment. But it did allow me to find that clip that I intended to play that James sent in. Right. Let's move on to.
Isn't that something?
I have a follow up to last Friday's headline that you had about the deficit. We talked about how we are now spending more money to service our debt than we are in.
We talked about it being like, it's like 96% of GDP annually currently, and in 10 years it'll be like 124%.
Yeah, but we're at that threshold. We are crossing that now.
The Rubicon. Yes.
Yeah. Here's
the
the reason
long haul, you end up having something, like 0.5% or 1% or whatever. The 21st century has seen less than average growth. So I don't think that's in question, and people understand why.
So talking about how there's no GDP growth. And so there's two people running for office. All right. How do we talk about this? The issue right now is we are not bringing in the revenue to pay for our debt. And everybody running for office is like, well, I won't tax you more. And so on one side, you have all of Trump's tax cuts that expire in 2025. Whoever the next president is going to have to either reinstate those popularly or reinstate the taxes unpopularly. However, if we're going to spend the way that we're spending, we need to bring in more revenue, and the tax cuts aren't helping. And both candidates wish to not bring in more revenue. And on the Republican side of the ledger, their response is, we'll just have 3% GDP. It's like, okay, how are you going to do that with tariffs? Tariffs are going to do that? Yeah. All right. No. So here's like a minute and a half.
You freeze out things. You make things uncertain.
So when you have low GDP growth, people aren't excited to invest in things, so it freezes out sectors.
Like 0.5% or 1% or whatever. The 21st century has seen less than average growth. So I don't think that's in question, and people understand why. You freeze out things, you make things uncertain, and so investment doesn't happen when you have massive and growing and persistent national debt. The other thing, and this here, I'll make the libertarian case for raising taxes, which is that what happened at a certain point in time, both Republicans and Democrats realized, well, you can give people more government, you just don't have to pay for it. And that creates what I once termed government by Groupon. We're getting for 70 cents, we're getting $1 worth of government goods. We'd be foolish not to keep buying and getting more and more. There were a couple of
Groupon go out of business.
Yeah. It happens, right? It happens, but they're not the world's reserve currency, or even in discount coupons, that's like 1% or whatever. The other thing, and
I went back too far, so I'll try to get where we were. We're off the petrodollar. That didn't make it onto the show. BRICS hasn't done a whole lot, but they did manage to do that. And I think my response to that is, I don't know anymore. Money's fake, and at some point this is all going to fucking blow up. I think it's irresponsible to have children, because you're going to have to accept that it's going to happen in their lifetime, hopefully not ours.
I think the corporate tax rate cut that was done under Trump was too big of a cut. I think that should go back.
Biden raised it, but not to where it was.
Not to where it was.
Yeah.
I think it should go back. I think corporations should be paying.
You mean people that were doing the shit from the last clip?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those people should have to pay. Again, like, the amount of money that citizens pay in their taxes is fucking nothing. It's just to make us feel like we have skin in the game while they print money to finance their government.
Republicans and Democrats realize, like, well, you can give people more government, you just don't have to pay for it, and that creates what I once termed not to keep buying and getting more and more
government by Groupon
dollars worth of government goods. We'd be foolish not to keep buying and getting more and more. There were a couple of
Groupon go out of business.
Yeah, and it happens, right? It happens, but they're not the world's reserve currency, or even in discount coupons. That's like Hamel bucks are still the Bitcoin of that kind of fiat. William Niskanen and a couple other people, Peter Van Dorn at Cato years ago, showed that when there are tax increases to cover increases in government spending, the demand for government goes down, because you might be willing to put up with a bunch of bullshit that you're getting something out of if it's only 50 or 60 cents on the dollar. But then when you're actually charged full price, you're going to be more thoughtful and say, you know what, I don't need this massive expansion of the state into this, this, and this. So, I think that's weirdly something libertarians should be getting in front of now, are tax.
Interesting. So he's saying that when taxes are raised, people actually
in proportion to the government, instead of just doing
Right.
it and not spending on it when they have to argue about paying for it, right? And
Yeah.
it's- have a negative deficit or a positive deficit, whatever.
sort of a difficult concept to kind of grasp. It seems counterintuitive, but it does make
Except
sense.
it's not, right? It's like,
Right,
okay,
yeah.
you want this, it costs money. Sorry. It's
Right.
not-
That's
it's-
fair.
Yeah. Speaking of coming off the petrodollar, Cody and I were talking about that briefly, and he was saying how, like, a lot of people that he talks to, the responses he gets was the US dollar is still backed by the US military. It's like, yeah. Is that what you want? Like, going around the world with a gun in everyone's face saying, like, you need
Yeah.
to trade with me? Like, how long is that going to work out?
But I understand why his audience would overwhelmingly say that. Yes.
Yeah, and I appreciate him,
Yeah.
being a much more of a voice of reason for that.
Sure. Yeah.
How dare you besmirch his audience? We have a lot
I'm
of
not. No, I'm
guys.
just
I
saying,
love you.
I love them too.
No, I love them more, Alan. Nobody loves them more than me.
There's never been a podcaster that loved them more than
No, don't listen to Alan. It's me. Wait, we're both doing the same show. Why do we have to argue over that? Okay, so I already talked about which candidate's running to fix this. Neither. Trump's going to continue, and the rate that won't, his tax rates won't end until tax cuts won't end until 2025. I guess I said that already.
Yeah.
I had a couple of notes there I wanted to make sure I say. Biden's basically saying, I'll keep Trump's tax rates if you're making over 400,000 a year. It's like, all right, well, I'm sorry, if you make more than $400,000 a year, you're not fucking poor. You don't deserve shit from the government. You can get by.
Yeah.
In every way.
So what do you think the odds are? Like, if you had to put money on it, do you think the Trump tax cuts will be renewed, or do you think there will be some changes?
I think there'll be changes, but it won't go to where it needs to be.
Okay. Regardless of whether Trump wins or Biden wins?
Right. And never forget, when he pulled that trick, there were negative effects from it happening, and he structured it in a way where those negative effects wouldn't take place until after the 2018 midterms.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Hey, huge fucking news breaking last night and this morning.
Yeah.
Julian Assange agreed to a plea deal with the U.S. government.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more in a second, but let's show the way NPR broke this down. I thought this was a very insightful and intelligent way of describing how long 15 years ago is.
If a plea deal goes as expected, he'll be sentenced to time already served. His mother said in a statement by U.S. documents in 2010 that
.com for details.
Well, I didn't.
The United States is ending its pursuit of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange.
this case has been going on for so long that if you had a baby during the year that Assange published classified U.S. documents in 2010, that baby would be a teenager now. If a plea deal goes as expected,
Oh, I mean, they can do math. That's cool.
You can't just say it's been 14 fucking years. No. They say if you planted a tree when this happened and then you chopped it down, counted it,
Count the rings.
you would count 14 rings.
Oh, wow. That's I understand trying to build a picture using words, but that seems a bit
If you had a baby, it'd be a
Right.
teenager now. So like 11 to 19?
Yeah.
Right in the middle. 14.
I think so, man. I think that this is great news. But like I feel like this guy's incarceration may have damaged him irreparably, mentally. Just all reports are that he's not the guy he was going in. Obviously, you're not going to be. But man, that whole story just sucks.
And I can accept that there's consequences for the manner in which he did it. Like I don't think that he's like scot free in terms of that. Like there was things that weren't redacted, and it seems to be somewhat careless. However, there were other people that were involved in this. Chelsea Manning was the person that gave him that information initially. That's like what the main charge centered around, right?
Right.
Chelsea Manning gave him that information, was imprisoned, and then was pardoned by Obama 8 fucking years ago or whatever, right? Like this guy's been in prison this whole time. Well, he's been hiding in the Ecuadorian embassy with his cats until he got kicked out for being a bad roommate. And then he's been in fucking Belmarsh in London. And Trump's been saying like, oh, he'll free who's the guy our friend arrested. Moss Holbrook.
Yes.
I always say Lars because I think of that Metallica asshole.
Oh yeah.
So Trump's like, I'll free Ross. I bet he'd be tempted to say he'll free Julian Assange, except who's the one that
he could have. He was already president.
No, the guy did this in 2010.
Oh yeah.
You would think that the charges were brought by the Obama administration, right?
Yes.
Who were they brought by?
Not the
Trump
Obama
administration. Yes, they were brought by the Trump administration. So, like, Trump
wasn't there? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Trump filed the charges. Like I feel like Trump wanted to be able to be the one that said, "I fixed this," right? Because it's a popular-ish thing on like libertarian sides of the aisle, and he's courting libertarians because he needs every vote he can get.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, there was some talk that he might pardon him, but some people in his cabinet were adamantly against it.
Bolton.
Bolton, and I think somebody else told him not to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were pissed at him about Vault 7 because there was further things, right? But I mean, Trump is sympathetic to him because Trump, during the 2016 election, Assange was cozying up with people at least claiming to be Russian agents that were going to give him information about Hillary, remember?
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, but like, okay. The important thing about this, the reason I celebrate it is that the charges he was facing were basically charges that any journalist could be charged under. And they haven't done that before. Like they're from the Espionage Act, which is from like the 1900s, early 1900s.
Yeah.
And like they didn't go around charging journalists with leaking this type of information. And a lot of journalists potentially would be charged with, it might not rise to the same level of the what was that video from the was it from the ship where they were shooting all the people on the ground?
Oh,
that has a name. That video has a name. It not all something murder.
I know what you're talking about. I can't pull the name either. Yeah.
It's not necessarily video information like that, but most journalists could be charged with similar crimes just for being a journalist. That's why when we've talked about him before, we're like, just free Assange. His charges essentially come down to being a journalist and doing journalism.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he didn't have the the lawyers and the editorial boards that you would have if you worked at the Washington Post or the New York Times. And as you mentioned previously, it could be said that some of the stuff he leaked was a bit reckless, but I think overall the American population should have seen that information. I mean, maybe it could have been redacted some, but
Collateral Murder, was that the name of the video?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was useful information that the public should have known. So I agree.
So can I say what you said differently? I don't normally do this. Normally you tidy up my words. To me, it comes down to, there's a bottom line to this. He's a terrible advocate for press freedom and liberty. He's a terrible advocate for that, right? See earlier, attempting to work with the Russians to dig up dirt on Hillary, right?
Right.
I mean, fuck her. I mean, she was the one that said she wanted to drone strike him. She was like, can't we just drone strike this guy?
It's true.
But he proved that states can't control information in the way that they once did. And I think that's a good thing. I like living in that world where, so
I agree.
But yeah, he's a terrible advocate for press freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not going to be on a stand
I'm glad to
anytime
see
soon.
that. I'm glad to see he'll see some daylight. I like that he's like, I'll go to like a U.S. territory to turn myself in, but I'm not stepping on U.S. soil. He went to some like island in the Atlantic that's like halfway or something like that.
And he's going back to Australia after that,
I
right?
think he's going to Australia. Yeah,
yeah.
with his cats. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about the cats, but yeah. I think it's funny that the people of Ecuador were like, look, this guy's got cat shit all over there. His hair is long, like he smells.
Yeah. We can't. We can't. He leaves
can we
dirty dishes in the sink. Like, it's
Yeah,
just,
exactly. He's just a bad roommate. He's drinking other people's milk. You know that you didn't buy milk, Billy. I'm still mad about that. All right. All right. Can we talk about the 10 Commandments? Did that come
Sure.
up? Did that come up in the headline show?
It did. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we didn't have sound clips, so let's talk about it a little bit.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And I got a little bit more information to talk about it. So first of all, let's start this headline off with a little bit of a clip. Here is a Louisiana lawmaker. Look at that. Oh, here, let me share it with you. I caught her at a great pose. She's looking like she's about to spit on that thing.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Looks like she just spit on it. All right. So Louisiana lawmaker behind the 10 Commandments classroom mandate says she's not scared of lawsuits, and critics just shouldn't look at the display.
I don't understand why this is so preposterous and that litigation
Isn't that the argument for like gay people? Like, just don't look at it if it bothers you.
is being threatened. It doesn't scare us in the state of Louisiana. We say bring it on.
Because if someone has a home in which they choose to believe something different, which is welcome in this country, it's literally why people fled to come here to found this country to begin with, then they should be allowed to. And it's not really an option if you're requiring it to be put up in the wall of a classroom. What do you say to the parents of students or even teachers who don't share your religious views?
Don't look at it.
What would you say if your child had to go to a
Professional broadcaster was like, I don't have words for that. Let me start another sentence.
classroom in which the 5 pillars of Islam were required to be on the wall? How would you feel?
Again, this is not about the 5 pillars of Islam. This bill specifically states the 10 Commandments. It is a historical
Sure, but I'm
document. And
presenting you with a hypothetical that would help you put yourself in the shoes of someone you may not
Why would I
understand.
wear their shoes? They're
and
dirty.
Their point of view.
Immigrants.
How would you feel if you walked into a classroom and something you didn't believe in was required to be on the wall?
I cannot sit here and gather and fathom what you could give me 1,000 hypotheticals.
you
You're
1,000.
specifically
Give me one.
talking about a limited text on, mind you, a piece of paper that's not much bigger than a legal sheet of paper.
It's not that
Some
big.
kids might even need a magnifying glass to
They
read
can't
all
even-
of
the kids can't. They're in Louisiana. They can't even read.
They can't even see.
I don't understand why this is so preposterous and that litigation is being threatened. It doesn't scare us in the state of Louisiana. We say bring it on.
Because if someone
I think it started over.
That started over.
Let me hit the button.
Isn't that something?
Do you have any thoughts on that? I got thoughts.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, the whole point was the separation of church and state. Like
That's what I'm upsetty about, right? Like,
Yeah, I
I
mean-
genuinely cannot care less if it was allowed to be in the classroom. It's that they wrote a law mandating it to be in the classroom. And I've thought about this all week. Like, I really, if it was like, yeah, we wrote a law, I might have said that on Friday. Like, I do not care if you want to have it in the classroom. Doesn't bother me. It bothers me that you're saying it has to be there.
I don't like even allowed.
See, I think that's where it kind of, it's like that's like a preference though, right? Like, yeah, if you don't like it, they're fine. But like, it's,
I mean, if that's something that you,
they're not bad rules, Alan. Like, I get it. Like, I think it's fine to be there. It's mandating it be there. And
Mandating
that's
is definitely a
religious
problem.
text. And that you're not doing anything. What were you going to say? Because I got a whole thing.
all right. So obviously mandating is a problem.
Mandating
And-
is not a problem. During Pride Month, Alan, you're going to say that mandates are bad? Men can go on dates with whoever they want. Women dating is okay. They dating.
That's definitely problematic. However, in a public school, which is funded through taxpayer funds, we established this country to be church and state separate. And that goes against that very founding value of this country. So I have a problem with that. If you want to send your kid to a private school, a Catholic school, and they have, that's fine. Do it. you know. But in a public school that is funded by taxpayer money, no. I
In
don't
a
think
sense, it's just there's no room for that here. Like,
Yes.
yeah, I get that. I get that. But I personally wouldn't want, I would be fine with someone else doing it. I wouldn't call for a lawsuit challenging it if it was permissible as opposed to mandated. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
rise to that level for me if it was permissible.
If I went to pick up my son from school and I saw that on the wall of the classroom, I'd have a problem.
Maybe have a conversation with the teacher.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what happens. Talk to the principal. You know?
Yeah.
They wouldn't change because nobody's open to having their mind changed these days. I get that though.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about something. This is the context of this. So this is not the first time. Shocker, 2024 wasn't the first time somebody tried to put the 10 Commandments.
Oh, not at all.
I think Kentucky tried to do it in like the 80s or 90s. And it rose all the way to the Supreme fucking Court. They've dealt with this already. Like,
Right.
do you
They
know
said
about
no.
this?
I vaguely remember that
Okay.
was a thing that it got struck down.
And it did get struck down.
Yeah.
And the way they struck it down was they have a legal, they call it a test, but there's like a scrutiny that you can go through. Let me close this because I might be saying something nice. So they actually have like a thought process, like a what do you call that? Like a test. What do they call
Yeah.
that?
Like
There's
a litmus
thing.
test. Flowchart.
There's a thing. Thought experiment. There's like a thought
Ah.
experiment you can go through, right? To determine whether or not this would be legally sound under our Constitution, because there's laws about, church and state, as Alan said.
Mhm.
So it's called the Lemon test. So the Lemon test, here's the holding of the Lemon test. This is what they used to resolve when Kentucky tried this exact same thing. For a law to be considered constitutional under the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment, the law must, 1, have a legitimate secular purpose, 2, not have the primary effect of either advancing or inhibiting religion, and 3, not result in an excessive entanglement of government and religion.
And it violates all three.
It does seem to violate all three. So
Yes.
the first part of this says the first part of this, the 10 Commandments, what they put up. So
Mhm.
what they're putting up is like, we joked about it on the Friday show, that it's like those OSHA plaques that are in
Right.
every
Right.
break
Yeah.
room.
Workman's comp stuff. Yeah.
It's uniform. What they're putting up in
Right.
every class, it's not like, hey, you can wing it. You have to put an exact thing that they've decided they can put up. So it's the 10 Commandments with a preamble. And the preamble before it wasn't like Moses's preamble. It's the it's like, this is a historic document talking about the history of American legal code and how the 10 Commandments have something to do with America's legal history. So that's how they skirted this a little bit, which Kentucky didn't do. So that's why the Supreme Court struck it down in the 90s. So Louisiana is being smart about this. They know that the threshold is to have a legitimate secular purpose. That's the history of legal code in the United States. But I don't think they covered hurdles 2 and 3, not have the primary effect of either advancing or inhibiting religion, and 3, not resulting in an excessive entanglement of government and religion, which it totally sounds like it does. It certainly sounds like the third one.
The third one, I think also it's definitely promoting religion. So that is advancing.
I mean, I think that it's not unreasonable from a legal position to say that preamble has cleared the hurdle of having a legitimate secular purpose. We can argue over the term legitimate. And I would agree with you, but
second and third are more difficult to clear for sure.
So shocker.
Hey, why don't they put the Code of Hammurabi up instead? That seems
Yeah,
like more.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, the problem is an eye for an eye leaves everyone blind, Alan.
Yes.
I think that's from Do the Right Thing, perhaps. Yeah, so it's called the Lemon test. That's the test that they called that we just described. And if you'd like to learn more about this, go to lemonparty.com.
Don't.
Go to Lemon Party. It's fine. It's gonna happen.
That is old.
Yeah,
that is
old.
internet history right there.
I was in my computers class in high school.
my
because
God.
At the time, they called it a computers class. They had
Right.
just stopped calling it typing. Like,
That and Tub Girl.
and Meatspin, the old
Yes.
meatspin.com. All right. Can we talk
I'm
about
actually
Russia?
curious if it's still out there, and I'm not going to look, but
I'll look.
it's got to be. I'm sure it is.
Lemon Party.
You can check.
Yeah, why not? It's something I haven't seen before.
That's true.
Here's the you have to be 18. I'm not going. So it does exist, and there is a disclaimer. So it's not like the olden days where it just showed up.
Showed up.
You know what? Now I want to see about Meat Spin. TSPIN.com. We should see if Meat Spin. Okay, it looks like.
Remember?
Oh, god damn it! Meat Spin still exists.
Still there. Do you remember Don and Mike every time? They would talk
I just refreshed. I didn't go back. Okay.
Every time they would talk about like where you could find the show on to stream online, they would always say Tub Girl or Lemon Party.
Yeah. Or Blue Waffles.
Yeah.
You know, there wow. I'm gonna close all those windows. Can we talk about Russia? Speaking of bad internet, can we talk about Russia?
Yes.
So some shit went down yesterday morning, over the weekend. I feel like I saw the news. So it happened over the weekend, and then we all woke up to, if you have the Atlas News alerts that said that the U.S. ambassador was summoned. Russia summoned the U.S. ambassador, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To dress them down over the fact that. Can you
Sergei
set it up while I
Lavrov.
load the clip?
Yeah, so the Ukrainians used some type of missiles to take out a Russian installation in Crimea in Sebastopol. Actually, I was curious what it was they were trying to take out. Zian says that he believes they took out a satellite,
Deep space satellite. It's one of 4 satellites.
Yeah.
So one of 4 satellites they have arrayed across Russia.
Well, it's a communication device to communicate with satellites, not a satellite itself.
Right. Yes.
But
they only have 4 of these, and now
they
only have 3.
Now they only have 3. Most countries have them throughout the world because it's easier to have them positioned everywhere. But Russia just doesn't have homies like that on the international stage. Although you'd think China would, but they don't trust that either.
They also don't fly over China.
Yeah. So essentially, they took out that installation. A few people, civilians, were killed, according to Russian reports,
And a lot of others injured. So
yes.
Full context. So you've probably seen the videos. If you haven't seen the videos, there are a bunch of beach. There's a beach in Sebastopol, and there's just people having a nice sunny beach day, you know, within missile range of a country they're at active war with that they started.
Right.
And they're just like, sure, I'll go to this beach. Why the fuck wouldn't I do this in this occupied territory that we took over? Like, I'm an idiot, you know? And then what looks like, okay, this is actually very important. So Russia brought the U.S. ambassador in to dress them down as if the attackums landed on that beach.
No, it's debris.
It was debris did, which means that their missile intercept system chose to take out that missile over the beach.
Right.
As opposed to either losing their target, which I understand not wanting to lose your target, or taking it out earlier, which I'm sorry, I thought you had good missile intercept systems. Like, so it's Russia's fault one way or the other that those people got hurt. Yes. Going all the way back to 2014 and them occupying Crimea, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I thought I'd say this later, but I'm in the moment. I've been to the beach in Coronado military base in San Diego. I've been to the beach in Oceanside, right next to Camp Pendleton. I certainly would not do that if we were in an active war with Baja California.
Yeah, that makes
sorry, you guys are fucking dumb and arrogant. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to civilians, but like first of all, they're Russians, so no, I'm joking. Like just the arrogance to think that you're in an occupied territory in a war within range, that you know you're within range, and being like, I can't believe that this war thing's happening here after our country's been doing that to civilian populations for the last 2.5 years. Like, I don't have any fucking sympathy for them. And Sergei Lavrov, Peskov, I don't know, one of these guys gets out there and is like, well, the West should expect equal, retaliation to that. It's like, to what? To what exactly? Like, I mean, I'll take your threat seriously. We should be prepared for whatever it is you're threatening, but you're being unreasonable.
Yeah. I sign off on all of that 100%.
Well, let's listen to this Dracula enthusiast, Matt Miller, give So he's the spokesperson for the White House.
Among the U.S. ambassador today saying that the U.S. is quote unquote waging a hybrid war and is part of that war.
So I've seen the comments from the government of Moscow. I think they pertain to the reported strike in Crimea. I will just tell you what the ambassador said when she met with the Russian Foreign Ministry, and that is, of course, that we lament any civilian loss of life in this war. We provide weapons to Ukraine so it can defend its sovereign territory against armed aggression. That includes in Crimea, which of course is part of Ukraine. And Russia could stop this war today and end the suffering caused by the war Russia launched today if it would stop its occupation of sovereign Ukrainian territory and stop launching attacks on civilians.
Isn't that something?
That is something.
It's kind of ballsy. I think he was talking very fast for a reason, which makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does.
Does this feel like, does Russia overreacting is not an appropriate statement, because I would love to see how the Americans would overreact to something similar, right? But does Russia escalating their response to this sound like they're just redirecting from the terrorist attack in Dagestan?
Yeah, it kind of does.
I don't have any clips about that. Some people may not know. You talk about that?
Well, just before we get to that, so I think that I was watching something earlier today about Russia's supplies, and the reason that they're driving golf carts to the front lines, like we talked about with Cody, was they're losing way more tanks than they can build. They're salvaging
like 14 cargo ships that have left from North Korea to Russia.
Yeah,
but
so
we can manufacture everything we need.
Yeah, so they're losing more tanks than they can build. They're salvaging old like Soviet era tech to try and.
They have so many old tanks, though.
Yeah, but they're breaking down. The technology isn't up to snuff for modern warfare, which is why you have these guys in golf carts on the front lines.
Not to mention the drones know that if you hit the turret, everything booms.
Yeah, planes similarly. The Ukrainians have shot down over 300 planes and over 300 helicopters since the start of this war. And it's a lot. And then now these sea drones have been kicking ass too. They took out the Moscow
old Black Sea fleet down at the bottom of the ocean.
Dude, the Black Sea fleet was like, oh, well, that's Russia's wild card, when the war started. And it's proven to be very ineffective against these drone strikes.
Yeah.
They've taken out multiple boats.
And when they do use them, they're scared too, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the asymmetry between the cost of these drones and the cost of the boats they're sinking is just massive. I mean, essentially, they're using a drone that costs $100,000-$200,000 to take out a ship that costs $3 million, $5 million to build, and time and labor and all that. And Russia's also running out of supplies, like parts, because of all the sanctions against them. So yeah, they can get shit from China, but it's not going to be the quality shit that they would normally want in those to build those tanks and boats. So they have a huge problem on their hand going forward. Just if the Ukrainians can sort of just keep pressuring them, I don't know. It feels like, based on all of those numbers, that there is, Putin's going to keep going. It's almost existential for him at this point. But
he frames it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's there will be a tipping point eventually.
But they're also wrong, and I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to take the world to the brink of annihilation. However, I'm sorry. I'm okay with not capitulating to this asshole that started this for no fucking reason. And it's not a matter of pride. It's just a matter of, I don't want to live in the world where people get to do that.
No, I agree. I mean, this is a state actor acting in a way that we haven't seen since World War II, essentially, of that size, at least.
Yeah, because Israel is still in, but they're
sure,
not the same size.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Israel, here is, this says, I put Hezbollah.
Do you want to talk about Dagestan really quick?
Yeah, I do.
So there was a concert hall attack.
What?
Right?
No, that was.
Is this old? I'm just.
No, Dagestan. So there was a terrorist attack in Dagestan. There was a guy shooting at cops.
19 people killed, 25 injured.
The guy fled. As far as I know, the guy hasn't been caught. And of course, they projected it. They said, something's the West.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think ISIS took credit yet, so I don't know. I don't really know enough about it. Maybe it'll show up in the headline show. Talk about it more.
Okay.
It does seem like the guy got away with it.
They almost got away with it in that last one, and then they found him.
And then they put that guy's eye over here.
Yeah.
All right. This clip says Hamas is greater than Gaza. Is that what I put? No, I said Hezbollah is
greater than Hamas. Yeah,
that might have been shorthand. Just making a note. Let's find out.
Well, joining us from Detroit is
Oh, this is that guy from earlier. This is on RT.
Lebanese American political theorist and commentator Haz al-Din. You're most welcome. The IDF and Hezbollah have been bombing each other across the border for months. So why now is Israel making such an open threat to invade Lebanon, in your view?
Well, an immense degree of domestic pressure has been exerted upon the Israeli government by residents of northern Israel, and they are saying that approximately some 80,000 have already fled. Although some in Israeli society, a journalist, I believe, even pegs that number higher at 200,000. And they're losing face in the eyes of their own citizens, and they have to act and they have to do something. The problem, of course, is what's been delaying them from doing that is, of course, the only voice of reason, if you can even call it that, coming from the United States, which is continuing to stress to the Israeli leadership that any escalation in Lebanon, such as a ground invasion, would kick off a chain of events that I don't think the United States has the confidence it will be able to contain.
We've already said that we're not going to, I don't want to play any more of this. We've already said that, like, we're not going to back you the same way we are, because that's basically saying, like, you're starting a war with Iran. Like,
yeah,
Lebanon's a proxy of IRGC, and Hezbollah is a proxy of IRGC. I do have a button.
Oh.
These Gazans have had it too good for too long.
Thanks, Jerry.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show, Jerry Seinfeld. Yes. Okay, let's do a little bit of elections coverage. We'll talk about the debates a little bit, and then Buzz Burbank has some polling data updates, and that'll take us to
okay.
But that's there's like 5 or 6 clips left in the first half. That's fine. So this is a clip about Trump and his vice president and what's been going on with it. I've had a question I've been wanting to ask for a while. Let me play this clip first. And I've been kicking myself. I haven't asked this question in the show before, and I think it'll be appropriate after this. But let's just got a little. They used to call that a American Eskimo dog, and then they said that's not appropriate anymore. We don't call them Eskimos, and they call them Samoyeds now. Isn't that weird? They used to call them Eskimos.
I do remember that, actually.
Samoyeds came out of nowhere because white people got upset.
For all the hoopla around who Donald Trump will choose to be his running mate, it looks like he may choose a pretty boring candidate. The governor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum, a rich guy who looks like he could probably be energy secretary, doesn't add a lot of pizzazz to the ticket, but also doesn't really take much away at the same time. Ramin Satuda, who wrote a book about The Apprentice, explains why he might just be the guy for Donald Trump.
You wrote that Bill Rancic in season 1, the winner, and Kelly Perdue in season 2, who also won, were chosen because they were vanilla characters and they trailed behind Trump. Do you think that's how he'll pick his VP this time?
Absolutely. He wants someone that's a yes man or a yes woman. He doesn't want to be challenged. He doesn't want to be complimented. He doesn't want to have someone who makes up for the deficiencies that he has, or that could actually lead in the event in which Donald Trump cannot serve as president of the United States. He's not interested in any of those things. And in every chance that he had to select a winner, the first 2 winners he looked back on very fondly because they weren't confrontational. They did whatever Donald Trump wanted. They were great spokespeople. They spoke highly of him for years.
The New York Times School of Journalism.
Even Bill Rancic now, all these years later, hasn't said anything negative about Donald Trump, still acts as if this show was a wonderful thing and that Donald Trump was a great boss.
All right. So not a whole lot to that. But it does set me up for a question I've been wanting to ask you.
Okay.
Is it normal to be this far into a campaign and not have a VP?
No.
It's like once the primaries are like, after typically Tuesday, they start narrowing it down, right? Like April, May.
Usually, yes. And so typically you want your VP to help you, grab a portion of the electorate that maybe isn't 100% on board with your.
But everybody in his party has to toe his line. So there isn't that.
Right. There isn't that. And as he sort of alluded to in that clip, Trump's probably one of his worst fears is being outshined or upstaged by his VP. He doesn't want somebody
and too many syllables. He doesn't like syllables.
Yeah. So I think somebody like JD Vance, who actually can talk, and can,
wrote a book.
He can put on the clown shoes and put the Riz. Somebody like that is
Katie
intimidating.
Vance, who called for it's a clip. I got it later on. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't say he's intimidated by it, but he doesn't want that. He doesn't want that noise. He'd rather have somebody low key, somebody who just kind of puts their head down and toes his line. And that's so.
I saw a thing over the weekend where people were pretty sure it was going to be Tulsi Gabbard. I think that she's too flashy, but she's a woman.
Too flashy
and that's a popular
also.
thing to do. And she's a Democrat, so or independent now maybe, but
if he asked me to put,
I'm saying that would be a really smart pick if he picked Gabbard.
So he won't.
He won't. Yeah.
If I had to put money on it, I agree. I think Burgum is.
You think Burgum? I think Vance. If we're doing bets, let me write
Vance?
it down in the book. I'll go Vance. You go Burgum.
Okay. And if I lose, I have to shave my head.
I'm not shaving my head. I'm going to go bald eventually soon. Don't worry about it. I'm not shaving my head. That wasn't my question, Alan.
Oh.
My question is, doesn't that tell you a lot about how he intends to govern? That he's like, it's really not important that I pick my second in command.
Of course it does.
What am I implying there?
That he doesn't. The actual
he wants to govern as an authoritarian.
Yes. The actual mechanisms of government. I was just listening to something last week.
Formality that he's bothered by. He would rather run without a running mate.
Yes, he would. He would rather be the only guy on the stage in the spotlight. 100%. So the whole thing of the 2025 project where they're planning to, burn out all these federal employees to install yes men throughout all these bureaucracies.
Yeah. That'll come up later too.
Okay. I mean, the
No,
problem.
Go on. Sorry.
The problem with that is, that means, if he's going to fire 50,000 people, that means he has to hire 50,000 people. And just the
they already signed up at the Iowa State Fair, Alan.
Some of them did. I don't know if it's enough. But just the logistics of that are insane. So
you mean like the onboarding process, like the orientation, like everybody's gonna have to watch the sexual harassment video,
right?
It's
Also,
so many people at once, yeah.
Also, just like these organizations actually take some technical know-how to run,
right?
And so if you're gonna just put yes men in, these things are just gonna fall apart. They didn't even, in his 4 years as president, he didn't even fill all the roles that normally an administration would fill.
Right.
So how is he going to fill?
But that was strategic. Remember, he even said he said to people around him that said that he
liked the interim.
He liked the interim position because he didn't have to get him through the nominating process.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's all by design, dude.
Yeah. And there's really, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's really not like a time frame that's specified wherein somebody that's an interim, head of whatever
has to be kicked out by.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. They can do it.
Almost indefinitely. Yeah.
Pretty sure they had like over a year. Some of those guys were in position for over a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they were just left blank with the deputy head.
Right.
Running. Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. It is the same thing. Yeah. Especially if you fire him because you like that guy more. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Talked about this in the hidden track. 0 Fortune 500 CEOs are willing to back up Trump. I got a lot of thoughts on this clip.
It's very interesting.
I think it is too. So who is this guy? This is on CNBC. Don't got a name. Oh, Jeff Sonnenfeld, CEO Jeff Sonnenfeld, Chief Executive Leadership Institute.
Okay.
Into the data, and we're looking at this now for the last 4 months. We've been pointing out that there are no Fortune 500 CEOs who are supporting former President Trump, and that is a historic break going back to William Howard Taft and through Calvin Coolidge and Ronald Reagan and the Bushes and everything. Is that it's been anywhere from 40 to 60% public and financial support. It's zero now, and it was zero in 2016. And the Trump economic package frightens them. It's extremely.
That's what it comes down to. I was going to say that before I haven't watched this whole clip. Yes, it's about like one thing I remembered. I was on a conference call that I wasn't supposed to be on right after Biden won the election, and there was a bunch of business leaders saying how they are looking forward. They didn't say anything that was like, it was very like corporate speak. They were very careful with how they said it, but they were like, we're looking forward to more stability and predictability from government influencing the markets. That's like, I never forgot that. I knew that, but hearing people say that, it was like, yeah. It's like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you're running a business, That's the most important thing. Stability.
Right.
Yeah, because you have to plan things, you know.
And like
18
you said,
months.
they're going to hire these people that don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Right.
You don't know what you're going to get from all these agencies. And that doesn't mean something good. That means tariffs are going to increase prices by 130%.
Right. And a lot of the inputs to our economy come from China. So even, you know, parts that corporations need to build whatever they're building, if you slap 100 and whatever % tariff on it, that's not good. And, you know, these guys running these businesses or gals, whatever the case might be, they got to plan shit out like 18 months, you know, 24 months out. They have to be planning what they're, you know, what they're going to do, what they're going to buy, what they're going to make, what they're going to sell, all that.
This
And
goes
so
back to what Nick Gillespie was saying in that Reason interview clip, where he's a Reason Roundtable clip, where he's like, the growth has stagnated in the 21st century because we have too much unpredictability in our markets.
an unstable political environment is terrible for business.
Yes.
The tariffs, 10% across the board on all imports, that's just crazy. It leads.
That's what he said before he said he wants to replace the income tax with tariffs. It was 10% to start with. It'll have to be 130% to match income tax.
To a 3% increase for sure in inflation and plunging in the GDP. And then and that's before retaliatory gestures, the increase in the deficit. He wants to cut.
Talk about the retaliatory gestures.
Well, China's like, if you're going to do that to us, we'll do the same thing to you.
Which the whole point is to strengthen, in theory, you're going to
Domestic
strengthen
production.
domestic production because we won't buy things overseas. The whole purpose of tariffs is to inhibit the flow in of foreign goods and increase American goods. But our output largely has to do with exports because we have competent manufacturers and good things that people around the world want to buy. Yeah, that's why when they talked about a trade deficit, there's a made up thing, because it's like, it doesn't matter that we want to buy more things from other people. We're exchanging things at a price point we agree on. It's the whole point of markets, and you're supposed to understand that, Republicans.
$5 trillion of taxes with no commensurate cut in expenditures. So these are problems. He doesn't believe in the independence.
What do you say? What do you say to the CEOs? There's a lot of CEOs who are watching us now, probably watching you speaking, saying, "But you know what? I don't like the Biden administration when it comes to the regulatory regime right now. I worry about the tax policy and what's going to happen if the Trump taxes roll off in 2025, and what that debate looks like." I mean, there are folks, as you said, 70% of the CEO community, Republicans. Do they turn out to be reluctant Biden voters? Do they not vote at all? I mean, where do you think they land?
They'll be reluctant Biden voters. They don't want the fabric of society pulled apart.
Isn't that something?
That is something.
I'm going to end it with that thought. They don't want the fabric of society pulled apart.
It's not good for business, man.
Not good for business. I don't feel like the people at Walmart and Costco, not people I normally side with in an argument, I don't feel like the fine people running Walmart and Costco and Home Depot are interested in increasing prices by 130%.
Definitely not.
No. And it won't punish China. It'll punish the United States. It'll punish me and you. Like it's a tax on the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is just high on his own fucking supply. He can't even read a room anymore. Remember that thing from 2 weeks ago where he gave a speech in front of business leaders and they all left scratching their heads?
Yeah.
He used to be able to walk into a room and own that room, and because he's so charismatic. He's been doing his rallies with a bunch of fucking people in Iowa and rural Pennsylvania. And he's like, well, his MAGA crowd eats out of my hand. And then he goes in there and says shit that people are like, this guy can't be running anything. They get the opposite impression of him and what he prefers them to have. He can only work with a MAGA crowd now. And he's so used to hearing that everybody's a MAGA crowd that's a Republican. He thinks he can go into those rooms and do that. And they leave being like, I guess I'm going to have to vote for Biden.
Yeah, what the fuck just happened? I mean, even that clip we played on the hidden track of the All In show, which those guys are, you know, at least Sachs is like a total Trump.
50% of that podcast is going to vote for him. Yeah.
Yeah. Even those guys, you could kind of tell from their facial expressions when his response to their question was like, what? Where'd he go with that question?
Yeah, guys, subscribe to the Patreon. Listen to that. That was unbelievable shit, dude.
Yeah.
And it'll save you from having to listen to that venture capitalist podcast all in.
Don't do that.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about it so you can hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the debate. So, can you tell everybody what we're going to do on Thursday?
Yeah, so we're going to do
I
a
need to
short.
cancel my saxophone lesson on Thursday.
We're going to do a somewhat truncated headline show, and then when the debate comes on, we're going to cover it live. Do it live.
We'll do it live.
Do it
Yeah,
live.
so at 6 o'clock we'll do our 6 o'clock Central. We'll do our headline show, and then promptly at 7 we're gonna switch it over to the debate when the debate goes on, and we'll I might put the Instagram broadcast live on, except it won't pick up your side of the conversation.
It can.
It can.
Yeah, well, if we do like a joint Instagram live.
Oh, so if you turn yours on?
Well, I go live with you.
Yeah, I would turn it on my phone and set the camera up.
Yeah.
And then you'd put yours live on too.
Yeah.
Cool. All
Yeah,
right,
we can do that.
Let's do that.
The audio won't be as good as our normal.
Yeah,
but,
well, that's a good point.
And then are we still going to record that to release it, or are we just going to do it
Yeah,
live?
well, that's going to be the Patreon. So we're going to do it inverted, like in Top Gun. So the second show will actually be the Patreon. Will
Got
be
it. Okay.
a live stream of
That'll be the hidden track.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay.
Speaking of which, so the debates are going to be on Thursday. The first debate is going to, I honestly can't believe it's happening. I did not expect it to actually happen. So,
well, there's people out there saying that it still might not, that Trump might bail out at the last minute.
Because CNN pissed them off. I have that clip. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah, it was CNN was rude to Trump's spokesperson. And well, we'll save that. It's coming up. Okay. Let's ease into this conversation about the debates with a clip from a friend of the show, Adam Burke.
CNN announced more details and the rules for the upcoming presidential debate. So I can tell you're all super psyched for. Apparently one of the rules is that they're going to mute the candidate's microphone when the other candidate is talking. And my question is, why stop there? Just turn them off altogether. Yep, for myself, the only time I want to see Trump talking to a microphone is when he's being deposed. And as for Biden, I don't know if you noticed, when it comes to important issues, Joe Biden is quite happy to remain silent. If fucked up shit is happening, keeping his mouth shut is very much Joe's wheelhouse. And when he does talk, he normally says, hey, knock off the monarchy, or I'll only fund it for the rest of my presidency.
That's something.
All right. Let's get into this a little bit more. So he set out the rules. Some interesting news came up between the last time we did a show and now. They did a coin flip. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about this, Alan?
I didn't hear about this. No.
Oh my God. Okay. So they flipped a coin to determine the winner of the coin flip got to determine where the podium was placed.
Oh,
sorry. If you won the coin flipped, you could either pick whether you placed the podium or whether you got the closing argument.
Okay.
And Biden won the coin flip. So he picked putting the podium on the right-hand side.
Why?
I don't know. Like,
Why?
yes, you want to have the closing statement. I've heard that there's some logic to it, that he thinks, or Democrats think, that if you allow Trump to have the last word, he'll just have some like ranting crazy talk, and that'll be the last thing that but that's not how it's going to be. He knows that. He's functional. He's crazy, but he's like a fox. Like, he will be good in that moment. Like, oh, they're so dumb. Oh, well,
yeah, that's
oh my God, I can choose where I kick off from. Well, golly, the wind's on this side. I'm going to win. Like, no, you take the ball in the second half, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, that seems like an L. I don't know.
It's a huge L.
Yeah, it's a huge L.
All right. Yeah, I thought I had the clip of it. I guess I don't have it. So, you know what? It was annoying audio. So describe what happened on CNN.
So one of his spokespersons starts to attack Jake Tapper, I want to say.
Yeah, they're doing like, they just started the interview. They kicked it off to Trump's spokesperson, media person, and she's like, "Thanks for having me. All anybody has to do is Google Jake Tapper and Russia or China or something." And it's just like, all right.
The host, the anchor of the show essentially says, like, if you're going to do that, we're just going to end the interview. And so they just essentially cut it off.
I mean, it was very brief, but it was a couple of times. It was like, look, if you're going to do that, we're not going to continue this. And she's like, oh, what? I think I should be able to die. And then she's like, fine, if you're going to do that. Which, how do you feel about that?
I think I was okay with it. I think
I'm okay with it too. I think it's your broadcast. You have the right to say, like, look, you're spreading bullshit. or at least we deem it's bullshit. And we have control of what's on our airwaves, and we don't have to put up with you coming on here and doing what you're best at, which is misinformation and disinformation.
Yep.
So, I mean, it wasn't a good look, but it also, I think it's within the realm of reasonable responses to that.
And I think that, CNN has sort of been struggling to find its soul over the last few years. I mean,
Have a
even
fucking spine, right?
yeah, especially like doing like the Trump town hall and all that shit. And just not, being willing to sort of engage on an intellectually honest, intellectually honest manner. I got it out. And so this felt kind of good. Like, okay, yeah, you guys do have a backbone, maybe. Okay.
I agree, especially knowing their audience, right? Like, you're not going to get Republicans to tune into CNN. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, you don't have to win every progressive over, but how about you don't lose the center?
Yeah.
So because of that, Steve Bannon says that if CNN doesn't apologize to Trump personally, Trump should pull out of the debate.
Who's the snowflake now? What the fuck?
I know, right? Isn't he supposed to be in prison?
Yeah, they're working on it.
Oh, they're working on it.
Yeah,
he's working on getting there. I bet that would happen for me and you. Did you hear Trump said he's not going to practice for the debate?
I did hear that. Yes.
Like,
just gonna wing it, bro.
Like, fine, I get it. It fits his style, but like, this is kind of like the job interview for being president of all of us. I feel like that's a demerit it should be a demerit in people's perspective. Like,
do you believe him, or do you think it's just bluster?
No, I
believe
believe
it could
him.
also be just bluster.
I mean, that's a good point, but I believe him.
Yeah, I kind of do.
I think he thinks it's easy,
Yeah.
because they're always out here saying shit like, oh, you know what? It didn't update. Let me put this in. Yeah, it didn't. Oh, that's not it. Yeah, this didn't update. So sorry, video guys, you won't see this, but hearing it's just fine. Trump asked his crowd how he should treat.
They
Joe
want to
in the
get him
debate.
good and strong, so a little before debate time, he gets a shot in the ass, and that's. They want to strengthen him up.
Strengthen him up.
So he comes out. He'll come out. I say he'll come out all jacked up, right? All jacked up.
That phrase comes out.
How should I handle him? Should I be tough and nasty? Or should I be, she'd say, no, should I be tough and nasty and just say you're the worst president in history? Or should I be nice and calm and let him speak? 50, be tough. Be tough. So bad.
He's a carny.
So bad.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, is it like, I don't mean to be old fashioned here, but we didn't used to have this.
Yeah, we didn't.
What a weird thing. Like, I'm never going to get used to the rallies.
It is odd.
There's an obvious parallel that I'm not going to make, but like,
Sure.
I'm not used to the rallies.
Yeah.
So, the Republicans like to speak out of both sides of their mouths. And in one hand, on one side, it's, he's a senile old man. On the other side, he's a loose cannon, and they just like to paint Biden however they can. But the reality is he's an old dude,
Sure. They both are.
Yeah, they both are. They were both in high school at the same time. Like, one was a freshman and one was a sophomore, like
Right.
age-wise, right? Like,
Bill Clinton is younger than both of them.
yeah, that's weird. You said that a few episodes ago.
That's really weird.
I think about it actually every time I see him now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Clinton's looking more like Jimmy Carter, like every
He
day,
is.
yeah.
He is.
And meanwhile, Jimmy Carter's just gonna live forever. Is this Maria Bartiromo?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah, it is.
Joey Ramone's crush?
Yes.
So weird. So here is GOP representative, House member Eric Burlison.
Biden will have been at Camp David for a full week before the debate, and that they're probably experimenting with getting doses right, giving him medicine ahead of the debate. Is that what you think?
Yeah, I think that any patient that truly, or elderly individual or someone that has dementia, they can find some moments of clarity, right? They can find moments throughout the day that they have energy. And I think that Trump's team should not underestimate Joe Biden and his team's ability to whether they're going to jack him up on Mountain Dew or whatever.
Isn't that something?
So remember, Trump said he's all jacked up, right? Like they got
right.
things out there. That's what's going on, man.
Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. I'm gonna come at you like a spider monkey.
We are partly a Mountain Dew themed podcast.
We are. That's actually. Thank you for saying that. That was part of why I wanted to play that. Thank you. I totally forgot. That was integral to that clip being a part of the show, and I dropped the ball. Thanks, buddy. Okay, here's a couple minutes of Buzz talking about polling updates, and then we'll go to lunch.
Okay.
Shaw poll. And back in March, that showed Biden was down by 5. In June, now it shows Biden up by 2. That's the overall horse race number.
But it's the trend. It's the trend that matters. That 7-point swing. Yeah.
Now, so let's look at the numbers behind the numbers. Fox poll has Biden up by 5 among those most likely to vote. He's up by 5 among those most likely to vote, the people who say it's very important to them to get to the polls. He's up by 11 points among the double haters. All the people, and there's a massive number of people out there in America who hate both of these guys. They hate both of these guys. They think both of these guys are too old. They can't stand either one of them. But guess what? When you make them choose between the two, Biden wins by 11 points. Speaking of trends, Trump still leads on the economy, but Biden's gained 8 points on him. 8 points.
Wow.
Biden wins a 5-way.
Which is with an incumbent, like you're always gonna you're a fault for anything people don't like, right? Gas prices are too high, or whatever. Bacon's too expensive.
8 points. Wow. Biden wins a 5-way race among candidates by 1 point. So it's still very close. 32% believe the economy is in excellent or good shape. That's the highest of the Biden administration. 1/3 of the country, 1/3 of the registered voters at least, believe that the economy is in excellent or good shape. That's significant.
Yeah.
In the favorability race, Trump used to lead by 13. He now leads by only 6. His lead is shrinking substantially by a lot, not by a little. Among black voters, 73% support Biden, which is nearly as good as his numbers in 2020, where 79% was predicted. He ended up getting 91%. So expect those.
So they're saying 78%. It was 79% in 2020, and when it came down to voting, it was 91%.
Okay.
Expect Biden to outperform those numbers again.
Yeah.
I have a CBS News poll of likely voters under the age of 30, people determined to vote who are under the age of 30. Biden has a 23-point lead among those voters, leads 61 to 38%.
Nice.
And as a footnote to all this from Florida, I'll just quote from Newsweek magazine here. Here's what's happening in Florida. While polling in 24 has consistently shown Trump ahead in Florida, a new survey released Wednesday by Florida Atlantic University and Main Street Research shows his lead over Biden has declined in the last 2 months. The FAU poll found Trump has a 4-point lead over Biden, 46% to the president's 42% in a head-to-head matchup.
That doesn't matter though, because the head of Biden's campaign said Florida is off the map for them. So
they're not even going to try it.
Not even going to try it.
Doesn't make sense too. Yeah. We've seen those numbers start to turn. We've been saying on the show for a while, there's a long way to go until November. A lot can happen over that.
Yeah. Even these numbers aren't like anything.
But it's better than it was.
I do hate being excited about good numbers for Biden. Like I really wish that we had other candidates to
I do too.
Realistically hopeful about, but and then like Simone Weil says, if you vote for the lesser of two evils, you hold that evil accountable, which we've been doing on this podcast the whole time. I actually resent how much time we've had to spend talking about our preferred evil.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, it's a long ways to go. These numbers do look better than they have been, and I think maybe you will get because there have been a lot of people on the left, prominent figures, people like Ezra Klein and other people like that, who were saying like, look guys, he's going to lose, we need to get a different candidate. And maybe they start seeing these numbers and they get on board. That's
go out of here with a quick question and we grab a beer and do the other half of the show.
Let's do it.
Well, it's not a question, it's a statement.
Okay.
Noam Chomsky. I heard he had a stroke. Oh darn. Noam Chomsky sounds like a Polish alligator.
Play the half music.
Damn it, I gotta time this better. All right. right. I will
There
see
we go.
you with a new beer in
Yes.
about 45 seconds to a minute.
All right.
Cheers.
This is the B-side of our platter, sports fans. And I'm singing just for you, covered in sequins.
In the canyons of your mind, I will wander through your brain to the ventricles of your heart, my dear. I'm in love with you again. Cross the mountains of your chest, I will stick a Union Jack to the forest of your cheek, through the holes in your string bag.
Oh, the music's done.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Bye bye, Miss American Pie.
why'd you say that?
The day the music died.
Oh, fuck. Oh, man, we're trying to be hip and cool.
Right.
I've been wanting to ask you this for a while, and I keep forgetting to put it into the show sheet. And I always have a fear that like things will show up in the zeitgeist, and I'll miss my opportunity to have asked you before it becomes a thing.
Okay.
Do you know the technical term for, you know, when like a page loads and you have that little spinny wheel?
Oh yeah.
Do you know what that there's a name for that?
The technical term?
Yeah.
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, let's get a guess. Let's get a guess here.
I feel like some form of widget, but you say it differently.
Yeah. Like throbber.
That was not what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's
No.
called a throbber.
It's called a throbber?
Called a throbber.
Any etymology on that, or is just
Not that I'm aware of, which is really funny because it's normally associated with a page not being able to perform. Not normally when I would associate.
It's,
that
yeah,
with.
yeah, it doesn't seem.
I've got a throbbing half hard on. James, don't do that. Don't
This
do it.
throbber would just load.
The ultimate load.
That's just calm.
There's the ultimate load. These things are.
America is suffering from erectile dysfunction.
Oh no, it's jizz music. Is that new? I don't remember that one.
It's been a few while.
Okay. I was looking at some dad boner stuff earlier.
Oh, here it is.
The ultimate load.
Yeah, I was looking for that. Well, we had fun with buttons.
Yeah, that was good.
You know what? I still like this one.
Thy is so great, and my boat is so small.
Bob Seskin, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's get into our best of the Trump cult. Then we'll do some best of the right, best of the left, 3 culture wars, and then we'll land the plane. I
All
get
right.
a feeling we'll have a normal length show.
Nice.
It's a
Nice.
curse of a statement, though, every time I say that. Trump says stuff every week that gets lost, you know, and it's impossible to hold him to account of anything. So one of the things that we really like to do is highlight some of the maybe like pettier things, right? Because there's so much other stuff. But I think it's still important to be like, no, the guy said this. Like, I think this matters. Normal people get scrutinized for saying things like this.
Decline. Here is Donald Trump claiming that Joan Rivers voted for him in 2016, despite the fact that she died in 2014.
Joan said she was a Republican. Did you know that?
I thought she might have been a Republican.
Yeah.
I know one thing, she voted for me, according to what she said.
And here's Donald Trump, remember, after he left the White House, thinking he was still president, telling the author that he had to go upstairs to deal with the Afghanistan.
I feel like I feel like this is way too nitpicky. Let me play the clip and I'll say why I think they're wrong to call this one out.
The reason I'm doing this and devoting a lot of time to it, I have to get back up because, I'm doing the whole thing with the Afghanistan. Has he blown that Afghanistan?
I think he's saying he needs to be president again.
Oh,
I think
maybe
not.
that's charitable. But
why would he need to go upstairs to deal with Afghanistan?
That's okay.
Oh, there are tapes. Co-editor-in-chief of Variety, Ramin Satuda, who...
Oh, it's just two. That was it. The other goes back to the John Rivers one. I just cut through that at the beginning because I don't want to listen to that guy talk, honestly.
Right.
This is one of my favorite clips of the week. I'm going to play the long version, even though... So there's two versions of this because he said it at two different venues. The short version, he said, it's not one of my worst ideas. And to that, I would say, you're right. It's not injecting bleach. He suggested to Dana White, the lady that turns over the cards, the letters on Wheel of Fortune.
Very fetching.
Yeah. He told Dana White that he thinks that immigrants should start a fighting league. I don't know why he told the co-host of the Wheel of Fortune that. Yeah.
I told Dana White of UFC, I said, here's what we're going to do. These are tough.
Alan, you get it, right? It was a Dana White, Vanna White joke.
Yes.
Okay. You just turned the D to a V.
Cookies coming into our country. He's coming with prisons and mental institutions. I said to Dana White, UFC, he's got a big fight going on right now. He's a good friend of mine. You know what he said the other day? They said, who's the toughest person you've ever met? He said, definitely Donald Trump. He said, Donald Trump. How about that?
Isn't that something?
But I said, Dana, I have an idea for you to make a lot of money. You're going to go and start a new migrant fight league. Migrants, only migrants.
Wow.
And then at the end of the year, the champion migrant is going to fight your champion. And I hate to tell you, Dana, I think the migrant might win. That's how tough they are.
I mean, this is Bizarro world.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is. I know it's and like he says he's joking, and I get that he's joking. I don't take this seriously. But like, I mean, just imagine if any other person, like, what, the fact that he's been fucking crazy for the last 9 years is an excuse to just be like, he didn't, like, no, a normal candidate gets lambasted for saying something like this.
In the world, fight the champion of the migrant.
Second venue, he's saying this.
I think the migrant guy might win. That's how tough they are.
Same formula.
He didn't like that idea too much, but actually, it's not the worst idea I've ever had.
Again, you're right.
Not the worst.
Not as bad as injecting bleach.
Yeah, I mean, this is a similar level to the Shark Battery story, I would say.
We have an update on the Shark Battery story as our next clip.
Oh, I did not know that.
But first, I have more to say on this. Okay. So, like, look, let's treat him the way that he should be treated for saying this. I get that he's joking. If he's willing to joke about this, though, how seriously do you think he'll be? Because he is saying that he wants to round up and deport millions of migrants, right?
Yes, he is.
And who knows, we'll get caught up in that net. That's why doing it in the manner that he's describing it is dangerous. Like, I understand the intentions behind it, and I'd love to have a intellectual conversation about that. That's not going to happen with what he's playing with, right?
Yeah.
If he is serious about this, don't you think he would? If he isn't serious about this, do you think that he would seriously entertain letting them stay if, say, they're willing to keep doing their jobs here for free? What do we call that?
Slavery?
Yeah, it sounds a lot like that.
Like slavery. Yeah, I think that's slavery.
I feel like that would be on the books okay for him. Like, well, that's fine. You can stay, but, and indentured servant. They'd find a way to make it legal, right? This is all fun and games until November 6th. Like, we can laugh about this. But after that, there were 50,000 people that signed up to work for the government under him at the Iowa State Fair. that are going to stand in line and fill all the positions that they're firing people that currently say no to these ideas, right?
Right.
And there isn't one of those people that's going to say no to it. That's what's concerning about Project 2025.
Right. And this isn't just like a, some sort of conspiracy theory. This is actually written in the plan. He's admitted that's what he wants to do. He's talking about it in broad daylight. I mean, this is, if he wins, these are the things he wants to implement, and he's going to have the team around him to do it. So yeah, it is quite a scary moment.
Yes. Not the fight league, but
the rest of it. Yeah.
All right, let's do. So, if you're a longtime listener of None Taken, like 6 months or a year ago, we started talking about this whole battery shark thing that he would rather deal. And I mean, this is buried in our show sheet. I've got to go back 5 pages to find.
I will take electrocution, but if I'm sitting down and that boat's going down and I'm on top of a battery,
like that's an old fucking clip on None Taken. That's right next to this.
I know words. Magnified fortune.
It's back with this.
No, you cannot do that, Donald.
We've been talking about this for a very long time.
A long time.
So he's been telling this shark story. And it's classic Trump. He refines it as he does his fucking road gigs, just like a comic, right?
Exactly.
Like he works out his material on the road
Yeah,
until he gets to a big venue and he's like, all right, I got my hour, right?
Right.
So 2 weeks ago, that all blew up, and everybody in the rest of the world seemed to catch on to him telling this crazy story about batteries and sharks and electrocution.
Right.
Nuntakistan has been on that pulse. I'm sorry. We fucking deserve credit for that. I'm sorry.
I agree.
I'm being annoying and talking about taking credit a little too much, but like it does.
We were on that.
Yes. We were on that shit. Yeah. So now he's trying to retcon it, and he's going back and being like, I was in South Carolina. I was at a boat place, and he names like 2 sizes of boats that honestly aren't very impressive. He's like 17 foot all the way up to 35 foot. It's like fishing vessels. Like, okay. Like, I mean, I'd love a 35-foot boat, but do you get what I'm saying? Though?
I get what you're saying. It's not exactly a yacht.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly not exactly like, wow, we're bringing in mackerel here.
Right.
How big are mackerel? I don't know. So he's trying to like say like, they think I'm crazy for this. A joke he's been telling, a story he's been telling for like a year now. He tries to like he tries to salvage it. Like everything else Trump does, whenever he tries to point out things that the media is bad at for picking on him for, he steps in it more while he does it. Again, every rake in the room, he's like, oh, got it. Oh, got it. You know that game where like you blindfold him and whatever. He finds.
Does he talk more about MIT?
Of course he talks about MIT.
They wanted to, now they'll say, oh, these stories are terrible. Well, these stories have, you heard my story in the boat with the shark, right? I got killed on that. They thought I was rambling. I'm not rambling. They want to make boats. They are demanding that they be all battery operated, all electric. And I was in South Carolina.
I just want to say, the number one job of a boat is to what, Alan?
To float?
Float, yes. All right. So his whole story is about boats sinking.
Right.
Okay. All right.
This wonderful family boatyard. The big yard make a lot of boats, from 17, like fishing boats, 17 to 30 feet. And I said, how's everything going? No good. They want us to go all electric. I said, well, would that work? No, because it's so heavy, we can't get the boat to float.
Yet.
The battery is so heavy. So then I start talking about asking questions, I had an uncle who was a great professor at MIT for many years, I think the longest tenure ever, very smart, had 3 different degrees. And
so, I'm smart via osmosis.
Right.
And, so I have an aptitude for things.
I have an aptitude because my uncle's smart. I have like the LaCroix essence of his intelligence. It's in my,
there is such a thing as an aptitude. I said, well, what would happen if,
I'm sorry. That's so important what he did there. He's like, so he says an absurd statement and then he backs it up with, and there is a thing of this. Like Scott Adams called it hypnosis. I think that's too strong of a word, but it is like a method of speaking that is like,
it's a rhetorical trick.
It's adjacent to like how hypnotists work though. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a rhetorical trick, but to be like, absurd statement, but that this is true. So that's true. Right. Okay. And then you move on. Like, it's just, okay.
If this boat is so heavy and started to sink,
he's just telling the story,
and you're on the top of the boat, Do you get electrocuted or not? In other words, the boat is going down, and
He's just telling the same story. He's like, they think I'm crazy for rambling. Here, watch me talk.
Watch me
you're
do
on the
this.
top. Will the electric currents flow through the water and wipe you out? And let's say there's a shark about.
He does this thing where he spends so much time like gesticulating, and then he gets into quiet, and then he goes real loud again.
10 yards over there. Would I have to immediately abandon, or could I ride the electric down?
What?
And I said, sir, nobody's ever asked us that question.
Now, when I hear that, don't you imagine somebody being like, I'm not used to such a moronic statement.
Yes.
Like,
100%.
But, sir, I don't know. I said, well, I want to know because I guarantee you one thing. I don't care what happens. I'm staying with the electric. I'm not. I will take electrocution. Getting over with it. So I tell that story. It's, just fun. And the fake news, they go, he told this crazy story with electric. It's actually not crazy. It's sort of a smart story, right? Sort of like they wanted to.
to an extent. So I saw another clip where before it ended, he goes, it's just like the snake thing. So like at the end of that, where before this clip, right? So I was like, what's the snake thing? And I had to look it up. I forgot about this. This is what this guy does. He says so much nonsense. You forget about old nonsense.
About all of it, yeah. Oh, it's not gone.
Steak Mountain. Oh, I didn't share it. Sorry. He said it's known as Steak Mountain.
Over. It's sort of known as Steak Mountain, Steak Hill, Snake. It's snakes. A lot of snakes. I think they're rattlesnakes.
Because he can't admit he made a fucking mistake, right?
Right.
That's the whole point of that, is he never can admit when he makes a fucking mistake.
Steak Island.
Yeah, just like when they lied about Steak Mountain. It's like, dude, I forgot about that. Like,
sounds like a great restaurant, Steak Mountain.
Steak Mountain.
Be in Disneyland.
Yeah, he's been like that whole story about him being in South Carolina now being a part of it. Like he's just retconning shit, right?
Right. Well, I mean, I believe that was the accurate origin story of this story. I think I mentioned it a week or two ago. That's how he started this story.
That's right.
But yeah, it is funny. But he is just a comedian doing a bit, and it worked for him a couple times. He got some pops from the audience, and now it's just part of his act that he's doing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So you know how we always play, where is it? So it's a long distance dedication to a very special dog. A very special dog named Snuggles. Something we can all appreciate, whether you have a dog or loved ones or neither, something like that, right? There's the whole setup to it.
I gotta talk about a fucking dog dying.
The whole Casey Kasem clip.
Yes.
Longtime listeners know the whole thing with the Casey Kasem clip. We got that from listening to Don and Mike. Buzz Burbank was the newsman for Don and Mike.
Yes.
The Casey Kasem story is just legendary among broadcasters. So here's Buzz on the Bob Cesca show doing his version of it.
Oh, I can't wait.
And now we're coming up to our long distance dedication, and it's about sharks and batteries and a situation we can all understand, whether we have sharks or batteries or neither. And now we're.
That's
Let me just play the beginning of it again, but without Bob.
That is really good.
I wish I could get it. I almost texted Buzz to be like, "Can you just record this for me without Bob laughing in the background?" But I was like, "That's rude." But here, let me just one more time.
And now we're coming up to our long distance dedication, and
isn't that great? Like
perfect.
God,
God, he nails his voice.
I love Buzz Burbank so
Buzz
much.
is awesome.
I have such a fucking
so good.
impression, man.
Hey, we had him on the show, man.
It blows my mind, dude.
It still blows my mind. Yeah.
It blows my mind that I text him.
Right.
Like if you told me in 2003 that I'd be texting Buzz Burbank.
Yeah. Mind blowing.
I also met Bret Hart. Also, and I'm close personal friends with Jack White Allen.
You are. And Mark Normand.
And Mark Normand. No, not friends with him yet.
Oh, okay.
Don't
working on it.
Don't conflate close acquaintances with my close personal friend Jack White.
Got it.
This was a good Trump absurdity from over the weekend. The man's great with imagery. Let's give him credit for that.
Now I have the wounds all over my body. If I took this shirt off, you'd see a beautiful, beautiful person. But you see wounds all over me. I've taken a lot of wounds, I can tell you. More than I suspect any president ever.
You don't have to say anything after a clip like that. But it's just like, what an absurd human being.
Yeah, it is absurd. Absurd is the correct word. Absolutely.
Well, and let's highlight some of the look, we know we got Sleepy Joe, and it's easy to highlight, him. There's a reason why you don't see him on a fucking microphone doing rallies every day. Sure. Although I'm grateful. I don't think presidents should be doing fucking rallies. That reminds me of countries that rile people up. And yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it does.
All right. I'm not going to name names here, but I have a tattoo of one of them on my shoulder that I don't regret, but I think maybe should have thought longer about. So here's Trump giving a speech. The reason I said all that is there's a reason Joe doesn't talk as often, right? But Trump still does these rallies, and they're just full of him having 78-year-old man moments, like just examples of just look. I don't think that we should be highlighting the senility of either of these people. I think it should be without saying that we don't need 75-plus-year-old people leading our country.
Agreed.
I'm comfortable with, of those two old senile men, the one that is less bombastic and less quick, less impulsive, right? Like if
less authoritarian tendencies.
Yes.
Well.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But you'd be lying if you didn't say Trump didn't have moments like this.
Joe Biden won against Barack Hussein Obama. Has anyone ever heard of him?
What's
Barack Hussein Obama?
He won?
It won, Alan. It's not one. It's one. Damn it. You tricked me. It's not one. It's one. I've thought long and hard about this way too much. I can't understand what he thought he was saying. It's so bad. I can't understand what he thought he was saying. Because if it's like, I beat Barack Obama, he meant to say he beat Joe Biden, which was Obama's vice president. And Obama was obviously his fucking
nemesis.
I mean, he centered his whole political career around the fact that he was born in Kenya, and
the birther stuff.
Yeah, so I can get that, but I can't understand how he could say that Joe Biden beat Barack Obama.
Yeah, I have no idea what he intended to say.
Hey, that is a senile old man moment.
That is an old man moment,
and it should be recognized.
Absolutely. Does he think he beat him in an election? That can't.
I don't think he thinks a lot of things, Alan. I think that he's running off impulse all the time.
Yeah,
in that moment,
that checks out. I think that checks out.
Yes. This is my favorite just soundbite of him. It might need to live in the soundboard. This is my favorite little what the fuck did he just say of the week?
Where there's so much water, you don't know what to do with it. It's called rain. It rains a lot in certain places.
It's called rain.
But no, their idea, did you see the other day? They just I opened it up and they closed it again. I opened it, they closed it.
What is that?
I opened it, you see the other, did you see?
What is that? I don't understand that. I feel like he's describing a website not loading.
I opened it,
someone else is doing it to him. Yeah. I opened it up, they closed it. I opened it and they closed it again.
See the other day, they just I opened it up and they closed it again. I opened it, they closed it.
There's a fucking meme there, right?
There definitely is.
Something
Did
about
he open some strategic water reserve or something?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I remember that.
But he's not explaining it. And
no.
Look, if they're calling them cheap fakes, which he calls clean fakes, I got a clip about that coming up.
Oh, really?
Yes, I've got a bunch of him being an old fucking man. Neither of these people should be our choices. I just want the one that isn't an authoritarian.
Yeah, Sam.
Okay. All right.
I opened it, they closed it again. I don't.
I opened it up, they closed it again. Yeah, maybe, but if Republicans are making cheap fakes where they isolate it so that if you only see it, it looks like Joe Biden's doing this weird shit.
Yeah.
Then that must be what's happening in this clip. But they gave him 30 seconds of talking, and he starts talking about it raining and it's fine because there's plenty of water. And then I opened it and they closed it. They opened, they closed it with no explanation. He's about to talk about washing machines, but they're talking about dishwashers. But
I opened it up and they closed it again. I opened it, they closed it. Washing machines to wash your dishes. There's a problem. They don't want you to have any water. Washing machines to wash your dishes. There's a problem. They don't want you to have any water. They want no water.
They don't want you to have any water, Alan.
Well, he's gone off on these rants before. Remember, he talked about toilets not flushing because
low
there's not enough water. The showers.
The same clip. He's like, in this video, he talks about showers. He's like, you know, I like to wash my hair, and I like to have a really dry. I swear to God, he's like, I like to have a really dry shampoo because it lathers really good, and I've got a golden head of hair, and it's beautiful, and I love to get a frothy lather. And it's just like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you doing?
Unhinged.
And you were just listening to former President Trump.
Fox cuts him off. This is all. Let me just. This is
Washing
where
opened it up and they closed it again. I opened it, they closed it. Washing machines to wash your dishes. There's a problem. They don't want you to have any water. They want no water. And I was with.
And you were just listening to former President Trump, and we're going to talk about some of the things he was discussing there. We'll be right back with final remarks.
Fox is like, look, we gotta cut off our guy here. What's up with your mans?
That's very funny.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a great clip too, because this is kind of what I was talking about. Anytime he goes out there and tries to talk about how bad Joe Biden's brain is, and contrast, his stunning wit, dazzling wit. He always steps in it when he does that.
The Biden people were very upset about that whole incident, but yet to be discussed. But Crooked Joe and his handlers are insisting he's sharper than ever, and they say the videos of Crooked Joe shuffling around are clean fakes.
No.
You know what a clean fake is?
I don't.
They're deceptively edited. They say they're deceptively edited. All of the mistakes that he's made every day. He can't go anywhere without a mistake. Now, if I'm perfect.
It's okay. You are talking about a phrase called cheap fakes. There is no such thing as a clean fake.
There's no such thing as a clean fake.
It starts with a C. It has an E and an A in the middle. You can see how he got it confused.
Yeah, totally.
The 5 letters.
Clean fake.
Clean fake.
Shuffling around are clean fakes. You know what a clean fake is?
Nope. Never heard of one. First I've ever heard of it. Donald.
It was not on my radar.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into some of the best of the rest of the right. Here is the My Pillow guy doing his best impression of your typical Altima driver. People on the Patreon will get this better than the audio. We'll explain in a second.
And we still have some of those all-season slippers on at $25 a pair to thank all of you out.
Anything about this video stand out to you?
Yeah, I can barely hear it.
It's not about hearing it.
For supporting us through all this. My employees.
He's driving?
Is this car on a trailer? Because he is turned sideways and talking at the camera.
Yeah,
while driving at a very high rate of speed.
Our box stores, our shopping channels. We get attacked every single day. And My Pillow.
I mean, it's been like 15 or 20 seconds already, and
he hasn't looked forward at all.
Should not have to be attacked when they're protecting companies out there that we never heard the names of before, which I don't need to name all the voting machine companies, but
like, just not even once in that whole clip. And he's even resting his arm on the steering wheel with his body turned sideways, which is a recipe for turning the wheel. Like,
right. You know, Theo Vaughn claims that the My Pillow guy used to smoke meth.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I think. Wait, didn't he say he used to be an addict of something?
Theo? Or
no, the My Pillow guy. I think he's like.
Oh, I think he has said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not specifically what drug, but
right.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's hilarious. He does look like a former meth addict.
He does.
Yes. Yeah.
He's got meth head energy.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah, give him a shovel and tell him there's stuff in the yard and he'll dig. Remember that episode of Breaking Bad?
Yes.
Here is what's my notes for this? This is Fox News. Oh, this is Fox and Hannity projecting.
All right, we are only 8 days away from the first presidential debate, and I think it is past time for the moderators, fake Jake Tapper on fake news CNN, fake Dana Bash.
How many times is he going to say fake while he's on the network that's lost lawsuits about lying?
To get their network in check, because right now we are witnessing North Korea levels of nothing but outright propaganda. And as you can see, they're not doing journalism. They lie. They say they're journalists. No, they're not. They're state-run.
In North Korea, you would not hear this man talking.
Media. They're certainly not holding truth to power. The state-run media is simply repeating White House talking points, all in what is a desperate attempt to defend their chosen candidate. All right.
I mean, there's plenty to complain about with like the media job owning that the Biden administration did in regards to like disinformation and stuff and trying to get control over that. That's worth complaining about. But like, yeah,
Hannity saying that
he was named in the lawsuit. He was one of the people on it.
Him saying that they're not speaking truth to power. That's got to be the irony of ironies. I mean,
it is.
Fucking seriously, dude. Like,
but if his audience
Trump's ass, like, I mean, come on, dude.
If that audience could read, though, like,
right?
Yeah,
it's a good name.
Oh, here's Lindsay Ladybugs on Fox fear mongering about. I wonder what he's fear mongering about. I don't remember. Probably. Maybe, Biden.
Ah, okay.
Originating from a broken border.
Hold on. So Biden's I think it's his border policy.
I've never been more worried about a 9/11 than I am now, originating from a broken border started by a terrible decision to withdraw in Afghanistan.
So,
the world is on fire, folks, and Biden's not going to fix it.
Okay, so why haven't you guys fixed it? That's
This is the host of Fox News Sunday.
what he says. Right over here in the Capitol, that you guys know the problem, you agree there's a problem, and you haven't
know who
fixed
I
it.
am? I was in the Gang of Eight.
I remember.
The bill they introduced was a joke when it came to parole. Here, I've never.
Wow.
Trump started the withdrawal. Like, we all know that. Like,
yeah, how does that have anything to do with the border problem?
No.
I don't like what? I don't know how you connect those dots. The horrible withdrawal from Afghanistan created the border issue.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All these Afghanis coming over.
Yeah.
What the fuck, dude?
I know, dude. I know. Yeah, but imagine his target audience hearing that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, they're gonna eat it like candy. Yeah.
I told you how to JD.
Oh,
Vance.
JD Vance. Yeah.
Yeah, here it is.
Successfully
Here it is,
dealing with
talking about Viktor Orban. This will not take a minute 48. So JD Vance would make a good vice presidential candidate because he's asked a direct question and he gives a very politically savvy answer, because the answer to the question is yes, and he gives a yes answer without saying it. He's actually, I honestly admire his ability to do this.
He's pretty slick.
He is very slick.
Yeah.
In a way, in a room, in a city of people who are good at what I just described, he's one of the best at it.
Yeah.
The left-wing domination of universities is Viktor Orban's approach in Hungary. I think his way has to be the model for us, not to eliminate universities, but to give the choice between survival or taking a much less biased approach to teaching. He seized control of state universities and put them in foundations that were then run by his allies. Is that what you're advocating be done in the United States?
Well, Margaret, what you're seeing in the United States actually is that universities are controlled by left-wing foundations. They're not controlled by the American taxpayer, and yet the American taxpayer is sending hundreds of billions of dollars to these universities every single year.
I don't want taxpayers controlling education necessarily. Is that what you're advocating for, federal government?
Margaret, what I'm advocating
control?
for is for taxpayers to have a say in how their money is spent. Universities are part of a social contract in this country. They educate our children. They produce important intellectual property. They get a lot of money because of it. But if they're not educating our children well and they're layering the next generation down in mountains of student debt, then they're not meeting their end of the bargain. I think it's totally reasonable to say there needs to be a political solution to that problem.
Do you want to hear more?
Sure.
America's universities still attract talent from around the world, as you've went to one of America's very top schools.
Look, there's still good things about American universities, but it's going in the wrong direction, Margaret.
But Viktor Orban in particular, as you know, I mean,
why'd you
he
pick that?
rewrote the Constitution, he neutered the courts, he has tried to control the media. These are not necessarily conservative principles. So why would you want to mimic him?
Well, look, I'm not endorsing every single thing that Viktor Orban has ever done. I don't know everything he's ever done. What I do think is on the university principle.
You know what? Maybe get familiar before you fucking endorse the guy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm sorry he went to CPAC once and you loved him.
Yeah, I think he understands that plays in his ecosystem. I mean, Vance is such a obvious. So Vance, when Trump first ran in 2016, Vance was very anti-Trump.
I get these clips every day. There's so many clips because Midas Touch and Lincoln Foundation, they love playing all the clips of everybody who's on Trump's radar for vice president. They play clips. I get them every day of them talking bad about Trump in 2016 and 2020.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, so he is completely disingenuous. And but he's also very good at what he does, at being slick and appealing to that base that will reelect him. And it sucks, but he's good at it.
And this is what we have for politics, right? Culture warriors.
Yep.
Yeah. I like playing clips from this guy, Penis Prager, normally to make fun of him. Sorry, Dennis Prager. I have that clip of him saying Penis Prager. Tiny Face Charlie Kirk. Tiny Face Charlie Kirk had his Turning Point USA event a week ago, I think. Maybe it was over this weekend. I'm getting my weekends.
No, it was a week ago because Alex Jones was there.
That's right. On the video.
Yeah.
Did you listen to that Knowledge Fight episode?
I did.
That was really good.
It was really good.
Yeah. I don't like every one of their episodes.
Yeah.
I don't like his episodes where it's a very scripted read of him.
Yeah.
That was a little bit more. It felt more
freewheeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that was fucking great.
Yeah.
Was Charlie Kirk? Who was it that came up and took over the Alex Jones?
Posobiec, Jack Posobiec.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and he just did a bad Alex Jones impression to his face.
Yeah, that was weird, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it'll be in your headlines show that Infowars is being dissolved.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. All right. So, anyways, Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk.
Did you almost say UFC?
I did, but I got excited because I want to say Tiny Face Charlie Kirk because of how
Right.
close his eyes, nose, and mouth are together. So he's hosting this stage, and they have Penis Prager on as a guest. And Penis Prager has some advice about how to maybe not ruin your influence on the next generation.
Why religion turns people off. When you go around telling people masturbation is a sin and you're committing evil, believe me, you are not bringing people to God. You are alienating people from God.
I mean, that's an odd way to state that. Like, example for your argument is masturbation. Okay.
Well, that's Charlie Kirk's.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Well, I feel like I'm glad that someone's out here fighting for porn.
Yeah, I
okay?
get-
We're about to lose porn in a lot of states in like 7 days.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
There's see that, man, damn it. I just thought everybody knew this. Yeah, Pornhub is going to be blocked in.
I know it already is in like Texas, I want to say.
Everything's going into effect July 1st. And it's like 7 or 13 states. It's a shockingly large percentage of the United States on a map.
Is it Tennessee also?
We're edging, Alan. Yeah.
Get one of those.
Me and the boys are
proxy
ex-
servers.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get. I mean, it's a great deal for VPNs. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean they're forcing people to provide an ID, and I think Pornhub straight up said like, no, we're just gonna not.
We're not going to do that. Yeah.
It's good for them. I mean, there's no way it holds up in court. But
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either.
we talked about that because we talked about Penis Prager.
What about all those hot singles near you that you won't be able
Yeah,
to
I
meet
know.
anymore?
They're like within and you know what? This is a Twitter thing. Am I the only person that gets the Twitter spam of pussy in bio?
I haven't gotten that.
There's never pussy in bio. Like you go to the bio and there isn't pussy there. I don't know what the scam is.
Okay. It took me a second. I
Well,
got it.
no, you go to the
Yeah.
There wasn't a second layer to that. I don't think that if you found something more profound in the statement, I assure
The
you.
pussy in bio is funny.
Okay, but it's also okay.
It's also reality. Yes, I understand.
It's all I get on Twitter. Like I did every time I see I have a new Twitter follower, I'm like, well, I'm not interested in finding out about another pussy in bio. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I get that on Threads a lot, actually.
I get that on Threads a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God not on Instagram as much anymore.
Yeah.
Back to the show.
Yes.
Can we make fun of the left?
Let's do it.
So I don't ever remember being this upset with the New York Times. Did you
Really?
listen to the episode of Vivek Ramaswamy, the Sturgeon General, the Sturgill Simpson?
Yes. Not Ramaswamy, Vivek something else, but yes.
Oh, well, now I sound racist. The Surgeon General
Who wanted the warning label on social media.
on social media. So
Yes.
here's a clip from the New York Times about it. So I may not. So it's one of those things where it's like I understand your concern and your intentions, right?
Mhm.
But the way you're applying this, I feel like you're misguided, I think is the best word I'll come with. Let me play the clip.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not sharing it. Sorry. I'll start over.
Talking about and what warning work in practice?
How would
I
a
mean,
warning label work in practice?
which social media platforms are we talking about, and what would it look like in your ideal scenario?
So a warning label would be a digital warning. It would pop up at a regular basis when individuals used social media. There are important details of what that warning label looks like, what kind of font size it is, what the literal wording of the warning label, does it have graphics associated with it, what part of your screen does it appear on? Those questions are typically answered in a scientific process that takes place after Congress authorizes a label. Lastly, it's important for people to know that there is data about warning labels and their effectiveness. We have now decades of experience with tobacco and alcohol warning labels. And what they tell us, particularly from tobacco, is that these labels, when done right, can be effective in
it was more around the middle of that. He said you're just gonna have to see it. Like we'll have to pass it and then we'll figure out how to do it.
Pretty much. That's what
That
he
is
said,
some
yeah.
strong Obamacare energy where they're like, look, you'll get what's in it once you pass it, Nancy. That was like people hate Nancy Pelosi for all the insider trading and a lot of the stuff that she's done over like the last 8 years, just being too old and not going away. No, I hated her when she was like, yeah, you guys can find out what's in the Obamacare bill. You have to vote on it and then it'll get to the Senate and then where we are sure to where it already has the votes, right?
Then you can read it later.
You can read it later.
I like how he's like, well, we're just going to workshop it. We'll figure it out.
Dude,
the
no,
font
I'm
size,
sorry. Make
whatever.
that up first. Like, give strong guidelines. Are you seriously going to hand that kind of responsibility to these assholes? No. Be the adults in the room, shape it somewhat, and ask them if they can make that into a thing. Like, don't let them come up with it.
Or I imagine, like, in his position, he could probably partner with some people in the industry and say, look, this is what we think would be the best thing to
Dude,
do.
you know what? You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, they seem to have no problem talking to them when they want them to not share a Joe Rogan theory or something about
Yeah.
a laptop, right?
Sure.
This was right after he had a whole thing about like do somethingism. He basically was like, well, you have to do something. It's like, oh my God, like there's an ism here. Like just be aware of do somethingism and don't go on podcasts talking. And like once you're aware of the idea of the failures of just doing something, you never again say, well, just do something.
Right.
Do you understand what I mean? To me, it betrays his lack of understanding of falling for the trap of do somethingism.
Just do something is likely to fail more than 50% of the time.
Well, and oftentimes you're caught up in the passions of that moment.
You often exacerbate the problem you're attempting to fix.
Right.
If it's not well thought out and researched.
Oh, I got an example.
Yes.
What was the Patriot Act? That one.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
That works.
All right.
Right.
Okay, it sounds like you're not aware of that if you say it. Like you avoid saying do something once you're conscious of that phenomenon.
It does certainly appear that way. Yes. It's something that he should know for sure.
All
yes.
Right. All right, I'm good there. Thanks.
Yes.
Tell me if I'm nitpicking here.
Okay.
I feel like I don't share his understanding of
the people and individuals who are helped by social media.
He's saying that the argument for social media is that there are groups online where LGBTQ people find acceptance.
You can build a community, essentially.
I get that.
Yeah.
I know that exists.
Sure.
He starts with saying, like, social media is mostly good for that. And then he's like, but sometimes there's bullying. It's like, what part of the... I feel like it's really good for the bullying.
The people and individuals who are helped by social media. We also have to look at the full picture there. Think about LGBTQ youth for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
We do know that in some cases, social media can be a way for LGBTQ youth to find community, to find support that in some cases they may not have in person, right? That can be positive. But what is less mentioned is the fact that LGBTQ youth are much more likely to be bullied and harassed on social media compared to straight youth.
Less mentioned?
Yeah, I don't think that's less mentioned.
Yeah, nobody's missing the memo about LGBTQ being bullied online.
Yeah, it's
like
definitely
that's the story. They're also like it's an also ran that you're like, by the way, though, not everything here is bad.
I mean, yeah, there's plenty of evidence that that's pretty rampant. I
So,
believe.
okay, am I nitpicking? Because I feel like now that I'm hearing it outside of how frustrated I was listening to this the first time, he is kind of saying it my way, where it's like it's talked about, but we should talk about that more. My argument is we talk about that enough. Not
I
enough,
see.
but we talk about that. That's not unknown.
That's not unknown at all. I don't know if I would call it nitpicking.
I wouldn't bring that
think
into my
it's
fucking
valid.
argument for why we need to put warning labels on social media.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, if you really
Warning
want to
labels that they haven't worked out yet.
sure. If you really want to look at the data, I mean, young girls are the most likely to be harassed by online, regardless of their sexual orientation.
Oh, right.
That happens, frequently. So
Right.
it
These
it
bullies
is
aren't like, oh, I'm not going to pick on her. She's a lesbian.
right, right. Yeah, it's definitely a problem, but I wouldn't say it's a problem that's under a rock. We're aware of it.
Under Iraq. So I just feel like he's lying and inverting like facts there. I feel like that's the other way. So again, like it comes across as manipulative and unaware of just doing something. It's stacking my
Yeah,
argument.
I get that.
Also, okay, this one's definitely nitpicky. This nerd didn't even have a TV in his room. Listen to this nerd.
But in the case of social media, there's something here that is fundamentally different from some of the other technologies that have propped up and created temporary moral panics, whether that was TV, radio.
He's calling it a moral panic and he's talking about doing something.
Moral panics, whether that was TV, radio, even going way back, the printing press and books. What's different here is that social media has fundamentally transformed childhood in a way that these previous technologies did not. When TV came onto the scene, I wasn't bringing my TV into my bed and
fucking nerd. His parents wouldn't let him have a TV in his room.
It wasn't in his bed. Maybe he had it in his room.
He should have brought it on his lap. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think just real quick before we move on, I do think that there is something to social media being a different transformative technology for society than previous things we've encountered. I do think that because a lot of when people defend it, they often point to the printing press or the television or radio or whatever it is as ways that you could disseminate information to a large audience. But I do feel like social media is a singularly different technology in the way it's impacted our societies. I think that's a real thing, and the cat's kind of already out of the bag. But I do think that there are things that we can do to make society as a whole better as regards to social media. I think that is a thing.
You're right. I don't, however, think that warning label on
Same.
it is going to really do anything because
Same.
I was the target generation of warning labels on cigarettes, and it had zero impact on me. Like I went into that like it didn't miss me that it was bad for my health to be indulged, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is the fair statement for social media. Like this is one generation getting burned on something and trying to like nerf the next generation that already saw you get burned. Like
right.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, and caught up in that is something I should be more considerate of, which is young people's health that did get affected by this. And I do acknowledge that. I don't find like this is going to actually resolve this in a meaningful way.
I agree with that.
All right. He also said that college campuses, I don't have a clip for it. When he tours college campuses, the dining room is quiet.
Yeah, he said people aren't talking because they have like their earbuds in and stuff,
and they're on their phones.
Yeah.
I work on a college campus frequently, and I have to put both headphones in if I'm going to get any work done. I it's so loud. Yeah, they're on their phone, and I see them doing TikTok dances like in the quad sometimes.
Right.
But like kids, like we're human beings. We are being social. You're lying. He's lying. He's lying, or he went to some elitist college campus, probably. And
probably
those
the
kids
latter.
Probably grew up going to private schools, not making friends, being mean girls to each other. Like, yeah. Oh, God damn it. He's just lying or he has bad facts, and I can't tell. I feel like he's sincere about this. So I feel like he's been brought to a position where he feels inevitable to do this. I didn't like the manipulative format of the show, the way that they put so much time about his family into it. Like that was clearly emotionally important for them and editorializing a bit.
I will say this this is anecdotal, but having been around younger people, like with my son, his friends and stuff like that, there is a bit of a like stilted social interactions that you can actually visibly see when you watch them interact with each other. And I think that is fundamentally different from the way we grew up based on their access to the internet. I think
Sure.
that has been a thing.
Yeah, but I think our previous,
but they still talk to each other. Like it's
Yeah.
not like they don't. I mean,
I
they
mean,
all have their phones all day.
2007 is going to be in history milestone. The same way I should have the year memorized that the printing press was invented, right?
Yeah.
We go with
16,
17,
17.
14.
Is it 14 now? Is it?
I went with an F sound because I thought it would be 14 or 15. Tell me you're Googling.
I'm gonna Google.
You're gonna Google. Okay. Remember when we used to edit?
Yeah.
You want to play this clip about Bobby Kennedy? Here's Bobby Kennedy joining a TikTok live event from his
1440.
I was right, 14.
Yeah, that's way earlier
Yeah.
than I thought. Okay.
I know my history better than I thought. Here's Bobby.
Nice. Oh, it's not.
We're going to turn on your camera. Doesn't have access to join with video. What does that mean, guys?
So listeners, it's a
Right, his
TikTok live
photo
event.
looks mighty handsome. Just young little Bobby.
But we definitely should be able to see his video.
So it's a TikTok live event where there's a bunch of like TikTokers on one side and he's joining the video. So he's half the screen and it's just a blurred out image and his profile pic.
Mm-hmm. And there's 8
Bobby.
squares on the right.
It says Bobby down in the bottom left. It's not, he can't join because you have to have a certain number of followers to be
Oh,
to like live broadcast or whatever.
that's very funny.
He's on his fucking burner account.
Video. So I want to see what it looks like from his side.
Hey, if you guys weren't here for the last,
It's because you're not in the Kennedy. You guys don't have enough followers to join with video. You have to join from the account. You have to join from the official account, Team Bobby. I apologize.
What a train wreck, dude.
Brainworms, man. Like brainworms are no joke, man.
Problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's another battle in the culture wars. Oh, not the culture wars. They're worried about a culture war. Culture wars. Stop with the culture wars.
Yeah, I got most of those. That's pretty good.
Yeah, nice.
Can we start off with a little Tennessee ass shit?
Of course.
All right, this is Burchett, Tim Burchett. Just honestly, I
He's
don't
like a
care.
state house member.
No, he's a senator. No, he's a
Oh.
rep. No, he's a state rep. No, excuse me. He's in the House
Okay.
in DC. One of
Got it.
443. Do you want to Google that one?
Yes, I will.
All right, so here's Tim Burchett. Just he's from Tennessee though. Just like calling, he's just being shitty to gay people, and I find it annoying that like, I just wish you had more class than this to start with. I don't care about your opinions, honestly. I like the civility of not saying things like this on fucking Fox Business at 6:30 a.m.
House. So this is a former Interior Department communications director who's now under fire for past tweets. He called for immigration and customs enforcement to be abolished. The modern day police system is a direct evolution of slave patrols and lynch mobs. So he responds on X, and he says past social media posts from when I was younger do not reflect my current views, period. I support this administration's agenda and will continue my communications work focused on our climate.
A lot of setup here, a lot of setup. So just keep in mind with what he's going to say, it's in response to somebody's old tweets that works for the Biden administration, said a bunch of very progressive liberal things. And now he works for communications for the people that want to court more progressives to them of our two choices to be president, right? Like someone who's in his coalition said bad things that the right doesn't like. I mean, he basically said abolish ICE.
Okay.
It's not that spicy, right?
No, it's not that spicy.
Okay, so that's what he's being called out for. Here's what he says.
And environmental policies. Congressman, another interesting hire, the White House.
Yeah, it's a DEI thing, ma'am. They needed to check the box. I guess they just needed a radical transgender white male. Maybe that was what they were trying to hit. But I think this goes back to one of my original points that I've made. And the last guy, you know, the bald-headed guy that was wearing the dress got...
I was stealing all the luggage.
Caught stealing stuff in airports not once but twice, maybe more. I think this falls in that same avenue. This is because this president has some 25-year-old boy, I would call him, with a man bun that is advising him, that has his ear, because they realize they have lost every demographic, or they're losing.
They've hired.
Way to make an argument based on anything valid whatsoever. Like,
I mean,
that's,
I always forget, is it ad hominid or ad hominem?
I think it's homonym.
But isn't homonym two words that sound alike? Or is homonym what that guy likes to do with other men? Huh? Mandate. No title.
Unbelievable.
I know. I'm not on my page of all the
exactly, sir.
That's what I was looking for.
It is ad hominem.
Damn it. I'm not gonna remember it. Doesn't even matter. Oh, you know what? This is a Jerry Seinfeld heavy show.
Oh, more Jerry. Okay.
I heard about this on Brido's show. And I couldn't believe it, so I had to go find the clip. I'm like, well, that's going to go into the show. Probably the Culture Wars. Jerry Seinfeld misses dominant masculinity.
An agreed upon hierarchy, which I think is absolutely vaporized in today's moment.
Okay.
And I think that is why people lean on the horn and drive in the crazy way that they drive, because we have no sense of hierarchy. And as humans, we don't really feel comfortable like that. So
thank you. By the way, thank you, Barry Weiss, for bringing this to the world with your podcast.
I believe he might have been reading some Jordan Peterson before this
It
interview.
sounds exactly like Jordan Peterson,
Yes.
someone who is not a specialist in the field that they discuss. by the way.
Right.
Oh, that is part of what I think is, if you want to talk about nostalgia, that's part of what makes that moment attractive looking back. And the other thing is, as a man.
So just to be clear, he said that what I missed was having men that could tell me how to live my life. Is that what you heard?
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Men missed structure of other men telling them how they're supposed to be men. Like, do you understand how that makes you sound bad, dude? Like,
Doesn't
don't get me wrong,
understand.
I geeked out over Bret Hart, and I said I got a man crush on Buzz Burbank. I mean, I found people that I admired in my life.
Mhm.
That's a good thing, and have mentors and have people that you may want to emulate. But when you say it in the context of a dominant male hierarchy, what the fuck are you talking about,
What are
man?
you-
Like, just have people you think are cool.
Fucking Jerry.
Yeah, well, it gets better because he's
Oh.
going to be like, I've got 4 examples of men that we should all look up to.
Oh.
Are you sure you are? Are you?
I've
I
always
didn't-
wanted to be.
I didn't ask your pronouns before we
I've
began.
always wanted to be a real man. I never made it, but I really thought when I was in that era, again, it was JFK, it was Muhammad Ali, it was Sean Connery, Howard Cosell. You can go all the way down there.
Howard Cosell. Is Howard Cosell the one that bit the strippers back?
I don't remember that, but that's
Okay, that's a different guy.
that is a very old man.
Sean
thing to
Connery.
say.
I mean, we haven't played the clips on him about how he beat women, but
Right.
um,
That's
yeah.
a very old man. thing to say,
JFK.
though.
I mean, he fucked Marilyn Monroe. Good for
He
him.
was James Bond, man. He was the coolest. And then, of course,
What is
Howard
that space
Cosell.
movie where he's wearing like the thigh high boots and
Oh yeah.
and then it's mankini,
Yes.
man onesie, something weird,
The leotard of some
Zoltar
sorts.
or something.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I just wanted to play it through the part where he. Let's see. There's only 20 seconds.
That's a real man. I want to be like that someday. Well, no, I never really grew up.
So we should definitely listen to his advice on this. Like, shut the fuck up about it then. Like,
You know what's crazy about that is that he
Elderly-
could just elderly abuse. No, he could just like ride off into the sunset. He doesn't need to do any of this.
all
said-
he's done is prove that Larry David was the funny one.
right.
Yeah.
100%.
Dude, that guest on Brido's show basically said that he encouraged him to finish the Pop-Tart joke. And
Oh
probably
yeah,
was
because he's
the
been
reason
working
the
on it
movie-
for like years. Or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Smallwood, I think, was a guest.
Mhm.
Okay.
You don't want to as a comedian because it's a childish pursuit. But I miss a dominant masculinity. Yeah, I get the toxic thing. I get it. But still, I like a real man.
I
Oh.
think the
Wait. Before this is just I won't have as many opportunities to play.
These Gazans have had it too good for too long.
Thanks.
I think the lesson to be learned here is that just because a slightly above average comedian gets a sitcom that's very well written and becomes iconic for decades doesn't mean we should listen to any of their philosophy opinions. I think that's the lesson to be learned here.
Yeah. Can I share some more hunk with Mike Bridenstine favorite
Sure,
parts?
of course.
He said that a guy was at the West Side Comedy Theater and he was there hosting while Neil Brennan wasn't. And he was like, well, I don't have anything else. Do you guys want to ask? Do you have any favorite bits? And it was like a bunch of Gen Zers that were like, dude, I don't know your bits. Soup Nuts, you tell that one.
I would have trouble naming bits.
Yeah, I would do the my all-time favorite is the chopsticks one. You don't see the Chinese guy out in the field with a couple of pool cues. They had the shovel. They've seen the spoon before.
Why do airports suck so bad? Why? What's up with that?
That's a whole phenomenon, right?
That
whole,
is.
like airline food thing.
Yeah.
Okay, this is culture war embodied in one clip, and I think this is perfect for a final clip of the show.
Nice.
Either date an illegal immigrant or a liberal.
Oh my gosh. That is like the worst question ever. I don't know. Like, probably. Oh my gosh. I would say no. I would say an illegal immigrant.
You rather.
She shaped her mouth and started moving out air.
Yeah.
With illegal first. Thought about it and came back to illegal. There was never a time in that video where she was ever making a whole sound.
Just to watch the cognitive biases kick in is hilarious.
Yeah. She's like, I can't. Oh my God. That is such a great question. This guy needs to do more videos of just that.
I agree. That was fun.
That was payoff, man. This has been a fun show, dude.
It has. Absolutely.
Look at that. Nice and tight, right around 3 hours.
Nice.
I've been wanting to ask you this. Like, I know it's not like a it's not one of those. I'm trying to get to the screen where I play the outro song. It's not one of those Mandela effects. Like, I know other people know about it, but I don't think it's on like the internet. Do you remember all the bumpers from like Saturday morning cartoons going into commercials? Like USA cartoons had this one where they would be like, the kid's name was Wilby. So the mom was like, Wilby. And then he'd go, right back.
Oh,
I remember that one.
Yeah.
It was on like every commercial break. Yeah. And they had a bunch of different like versions of that. And then there was the Nickelodeon one. Do you remember the one that was like, Nickelodeon?
Yes.
Do you remember? Sing that one?
I mean, I don't remember the words other than what you just did.
Well, it's not It's not
Nickelodeon.
It's not. Is it? Did they say the first part of Nickelodeon?
I just remember the Nickelodeon part at the end.
I want to hear you sing the whole thing.
Why? Why? What are you trying to trap me into saying?
No. Why would I ever do that?
This is episode 377. I'm not new. What?
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't smooth. Did you know the whole time?
No, I did not.
Oh, well, yeah, I think they say Nick from Nickelodeon.
I don't remember.
Can I hear you sing that?
It's like the I'm Loving It song.
Yeah, but they say Nick a bunch of times.
No.
Nickelodeon.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, sing it.
I don't know how to sing it. I don't remember.
It's Nick.
Nick.
You say that a few times. Can you do it?
No, I can't.
Come on.
I 100% know what you're doing now. I do.
I had to walk you to it. I was really subtle at first. I want to do the soundboard. You're singing. Everybody knows you're singing the Nickelodeon song.
Nickelodeon?
No.
No.
I need another take. No, it's Nick.
Nickelodeon.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think I could do something with that. That works. It's Nickelodeon.
Ah, that's
Damn it.
Somebody
I
isolate
rabbit
that.
seasoned myself there, didn't I?
You did.
Damn it. That's it. Talk to you day after tomorrow.
Yeah, that was a fun show.
It was
Look
a
forward to
fun
the debate.